Chapter 21:17, Interrogation, Yin Transmutation Stone Pill. 4. It's hard to say. One feel like this grey-white flame is different from ordinary divine flames, it seems more unique, Wang Teng said helplessly. The ability to petrify people is something I've never encountered before. Even with 4 types of divine flames, I'm afraid I can't find a targeted solution. Since I know that one have the Yin Transmutation Stone Pill, one should be prepared in case I encounter unforeseen challenges. Well, in that case, you'll have to slowly search for the materials for the Yin Transmutation Stone Pill, Yuan Gungun advised. There's no rush. I'll consider this matter after I pass the Grand Disciple Acceptance Ceremony. Wang Teng put away the alchemical recipe in his hand and turned to Landon. There's one more crucial piece of information one haven't asked. Round Ball's expression also became solemn, and it, too, focused on Landon. The grey-white region you discovered, where is it? Wang Ting took a deep breath, his gaze intense as he asked. Landon began to speak. Right at that moment, a struggling expression appeared on his face, and a hint of clarity emerged in his confused eyes. Not good, has trying to break free from your control, Round Ball exclaimed. Wang Ting was also surprised. Frowning, he increased the output of his spiritual power, and the crimson light in his eyes intensified, piercing Landon's gaze. Already under control, Landon, unable to resist, gradually calmed down. It seems he places great importance on the grey-white region. Otherwise, he wouldn't struggle at a critical moment, Round Ball remarked. After all, it's a divine flame. Even if it were someone else, they probably wouldn't willingly concede, Wang Teng said. This guy has run into a lifetime of bad luck encountering you. Round Ball suddenly felt a bit sympathetic towards Landon. Well, he's from the Parker's family. Wang Teng rolled his eyes at him and said coldly, the Parker's family isn't innocent. The Parker's family? It seems like this family isn't simple. I wonder what's the highest level of strength they have reached. Round Ball frowned. Eternal stage? Wang Teng guessed. Not necessarily, Round Ball shook its head. These families have been around for too long and have profound backgrounds. It's really difficult to determine how many old fellows they have hidden behind the scenes. Trying to deal with such a family is far from easy. Besides, they also send geniuses to enter the stellar academies. Perhaps they've birthed quite a few eternal stage martial warriors long ago. Wang Teng nodded, his expression becoming serious. My strength is still not strong enough. It would be best if you could find a mentor of significant weight this time. Even if your master can't directly confront the Parkers, at least it will make them wary and hesitant to easily act against you. Right now, what you need most is time for growth, Round Ball advised. Okay. Wang Teng nodded. I heard that a God-stage martial warrior might appear in the Grand Disciple Acceptance Ceremony. Round Ball suddenly threw out a bomb. God stage. Wang Teng was astounded. Really? It's true. I found this information in the Academy's records. Those God stage martial warriors will observe in the shadows. If you catch their eye, there's a chance you could be taken as their disciple, Round Ball explained. Alright, then I'll set my goal to be apprenticed by a God stage martial warrior. Wang Teng's eyes gleamed with determination as he spoke in a deep voice. Go for it, young man. Round Ball cheered him on. In truth, it had no certainty in its heart. It hadn't finished saying earlier that, according to records, there were very few instances of God-stage martial warriors taking in disciples. It was too difficult to become the disciple of a God-stage martial warrior. Although Wang Teng was impressive, the chances of catching the attention of a God-stage martial warrior were very slim. All the God-stage martial warriors were beings who stood at the pinnacle of the divine realm, and their whims and desires were beyond the understanding of ordinary people. No one knew exactly how one could be taken as their disciple. In records, some individuals were taken as disciples not necessarily because they had the strongest talents but due to other unknown factors. So, talent was only one aspect. Having talent alone was not enough. Wang Teng looked at Landon again and asked once more, where is the grey-white region? In a forbidden cosmic territory within our Liuguang territorial domain, located, this time, Landon didn't struggle anymore. He obediently disclosed the location to Wang Ting. Round Ball waved its small hand, and a light screen appeared, projecting the star chart of the Liuguang territorial domain. Countless stars adorned the display, and as it moved its hand, numerous celestial bodies soared until a particularly unique area appeared. Right here. Round Ball pointed at a certain spot on the star chart. Mark it. Wang Ting's eyes gleamed, urging Round Ball to make the notation. Round Ball nodded, marking the position on the star chart for future reference. What should we do with this guy? Round Ball looked at Landon with sympathy and asked after keeping the map. Lock him up for now to prevent him from leaking the information. I'll see if he has any other uses in the future, Wang Ting contemplated and said. At this point, Wang Ting had already deactivated the Bewitch skill. Lan Deng's gaze suddenly returned to clarity, and he stared at Wang Ting with a mix of shock and anger. Go back and stay put. Wang Ting didn't give him a chance to speak, directly sealing his force and spirit, then tossing him into the devour space. Poor guy. Round Ball sighed. Chapter 2118, Mission Exceeded. Death Level 9, Colored Light Illusion Scripture 1. After dealing with the matter of Landon, Wang Ting thought for a moment and suddenly remembered that he had one more thing to do. Handover of task. When he left the Stellar Academies for the Poison Erosion world, he accepted various missions. Now that he had returned, he naturally needed to complete the mission to earn those valuable points. And there were certainly a lot of them. Wang Ting had enlisted the help of the Snake Men to gather various herbs and hunt star beasts required for the missions, making the process much faster than if he had done it alone. The herbs and star beasts collected far exceeded the mission requirements. But that was not an issue. The excess could be sold to the Academy as long as they were on the mission list. For this alchemical session, Wang Ting spent a whopping 430,000 points to purchase various materials, leaving him with only 120,000 points. Adding the 500,000 points given by Zhulong Shuang and the 90,000 points for breaking the record, Wang Ting probably had around 710,000 points. However, he had spent quite a few points along the way, so he likely had around 700,000 points now. 700,000 points, to be honest, far exceeded the savings of all the new students. But Wang Ting was not satisfied. He aimed to create his cultivation technique, which meant he needed to study various cultivation techniques. Even relying on the ones obtained through attribute picking wasn't enough. The Stellar Academies had an astonishing collection of cultivation techniques, and Wang Ting was determined not to let this opportunity slip by. And all of this required a massive amount of points. Moreover, just a single universe stage scripture alone costs over 200,000 points. Obtaining numerous scriptures wasn't an easy task. Wang Ting's 700,000 points were just a drop in the ocean. Additionally, there were daily expenses, as every aspect within the academy required the use of points. The handover of tasks didn't require a personal visit. Wang Ting only needed to click the handover button on the mission center's internal web. Very soon, someone would come and take away the items for the tasks. Soon, a massive spaceship appeared over the residential area of the Cosmos Stage students. The spaceship's hatch opened, and a group of people walked out, descending towards the ground. These individuals were dressed in the Academy's work uniforms, adorned with the emblem of the mission center. It was easily recognizable to anyone who saw it. Even the spaceship had corresponding markings, akin to the various delivery vehicles on Earth. Such a scene wasn't unfamiliar within the Stellar Academies. Spaceships of this kind frequently appeared in residential areas, providing services to students and completing various mission handovers. However, in the Cosmos Stage residential area, it was a rare sight. Up to this point, it had occurred no more than 10 times. Many people looked up in surprise, wondering who had summoned the spaceship. Now, everyone knew that the spaceship was from the mission center. Its appearance indicated that someone had completed a mission and was now in the process of handing it over. Among the freshmen, very few ventured out for missions. Therefore, each appearance of the spaceship drew a lot of attention. The group of people coming down from the spaceship flew towards a mansion below. Isn't that Wang Ting's mansion? Someone floating in the air immediately recognized the owner of the mansion as Wang Ting. As Wang Teng's reputation grew, almost every new student knew him, and they were well aware of where he lived. Oh right, Wang Ting seems to have been on missions for the past 6 months. Some people recalled. Why are there so many people from the mission center this time? What kind of mission did Wang Ting take? It must be a difficult level mission. This guy is unique. While others are working hard on cultivation within the academy, he goes out for missions. Come, let's take a look. Many people gathered around. Wang Ting was now a topic of discussion, and anything related to him would attract a lot of attention. Of course, this attention was also because there were so many people keeping an eye on him. Wang Ting was unaware of this. He had just received a message from the mission center informing him that the representatives from the center had arrived at his mansion. He instructed Round Ball to open the mansion gate and welcomed the group inside. Lord Wang Ting, the leader, was an elderly lion man with a mane of fluffy golden hair. He bowed respectfully to Wang Ting. They were not academy students but rather staff members. There were many workers like them in the academy, dedicated to serving the 7 stellar academies and handling various tasks. Their talents could only be considered average, incomparable to the genius students of the Stellar Academy. Hence, their achievements were destined to be limited. Because of this, in terms of status, they naturally didn't compare to the Academy's geniuses. Therefore, in the presence of every student, they had to maintain respect and even address them as Lord. Golden-maned Lion King, Wang Ting discreetly scrutinized the other party, feeling a bit strange, but he didn't show it. He calmly asked, "Are you staff from the mission center?" "Yes, your mission handover application has been approved. Now please hand over the various items required by the task. After we verify that everything is in order, your mission will be considered complete," said the elderly lion man. "Then, please follow me." Wang Ting looked around. They were currently in the hall of the mansion. Chapter 21:19, Mission Exceeded. Death Level. 9 Colored Light Illusion Scripture. 2. Did Lord Wang Ting rob the entire Scorpion King star? With so many star beasts and herbs, and those star beasts still emitting strong fluctuations even in death, it's evident they were extremely powerful during their lives. How did one person manage this? The Lion Man Elder couldn't help feeling a sense of incredulity despite encountering many genius-like individuals before. "Please confirm these items," 11 Wang Ting said. "Oh, all right." The Lion Man Elder snapped back to attention. He looked at Wang Ting with complex eyes, nodded, and ordered his subordinates to begin the inspection. To be honest, after working at the mission center for so many years, this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Lord Wang Ting, despite being a new student, seemed even more extraordinary than the older students. "Lord Wang Ting, we might need some time to take inventory of your task," Gaines the Lion Man Elder said cautiously as if afraid of displeasing Wang Ting. "It's okay, take your time," Wang Ting replied, showing no signs of impatience. "All right." The Lion Man Elder was relieved seeing Wang Ting's calm demeanor. If he were an impatient person, they would have been scrambling around in confusion. Outside the mansion, people waited for more than half an hour without seeing anyone from the mission center coming out. They couldn't help but express their surprise and engage in discussions. "What's going on? Why is it taking so long? Yeah, did something go wrong?" The crowd was curious and looked around, but Wang Ting's estate was surrounded by the inscribed array he set up, making it impossible to see what was happening inside even though the field was empty. This left many people feeling frustrated. Why would Wang Ting, this guy with nothing better to do, bother setting up arrays around his estate? These mansions were just temporary residences, and generally, no one would bother setting up arrays as there wasn't much to hide. Even when they were cultivating, they would use specialized rooms where they could be truly secluded from prying eyes. However, what they didn't know was that it was precisely because of the many people peeping at Wang Ting that he had to set up arrays around the estate, lest he be constantly disturbed. After all, who would want to be under constant surveillance in their dwelling? At this moment, inside the estate, with efforts of the group, they quickly completed the inventory of Wang Ting's task gains. The Lion Man Elder's face revealed a hint of astonishment, and he stared at Wang Ting in a daze. Nightmare level. This Lord Wang Ting took on a nightmare level task, with an 80% mortality rate, and still exceeded expectation. If they included the excess task completion, for a new student, this task might reach the highest level death level. How is it? Wang Ting asked with some anticipation. Lord Wang Ting, your gains this lime are truly abundant, the Lion Man Elder said with deep emotion. After our inventory and calculation, your total exchangeable points amount to 3.25 million. How much? Wang Ting's eyes widened slightly. 3.25 million points. The Lion Man Elder, seeing Wang Ting's reaction, finally felt a bit balanced and laughed. You didn't hear wrong, 3.25 million points. This is a staggering number. No, Wang Ting shook his head, suddenly expressing regret. I feel like it's a bit too little. The Lion Man Elder, is Lord Wang Ting serious? Can we proceed with the handover now? Wang Ting asked. Of course. Of course. The Lion Man Elder snapped back to reality. He wiped away the non-existent sweat from his forehead and looked at Wang Ting, saying, I will transfer the points directly to your account now. Go ahead, Wang Ting said. The Lion Man Elder quickly operated on his end. He could tell that Lord Wang Ting seemed to be a lover of wealth. Wang Ting immediately received a notification of points credited to his account and couldn't help but glance at his wristwatch. It was like receiving a sudden transfer notification on Earth. Hello, your card ending in 12345 has received a transfer of 3.25 million. Please check promptly. If it were an ordinary person, receiving such a sum out of the blue would undoubtedly be a cause for great joy. Wang Ting wasn't an ordinary person, but this wasn't 3.25 million in cash. It was the more valuable Stellar Academy's points. So, he was still a bit excited. However, he didn't show any signs of it. His expression remained calm, making it impossible for the Lion Man Elder to discern anything. Additionally, because you exceeded the task requirements, after the assessment by the mission center, it has been decided to elevate your task to the death level. The Lion Man Elder continued. Death level. Wang Ting paused for a moment and curiously asked, does that have any use? It's more of a record. You are the first student to complete a death level difficulty task during the new school term, the Lion Man Elder explained. A record. Wang Ting's eyes lit up slightly. Does that come with a points reward? Yes, there is a reward of 30,000 points. The Lion Man Elder choked momentarily, looking at Wang Ting with a speechless expression. You've already gained 3.25 million points, and you're still concerned about this mere 30,000 points. And considering completing a death level task itself, these 30,000 points aren't much. Lord Wang Ting's love for money is greater than I expected. More importantly, he probably hadn't grasped the true significance of completing a death level task. This was destined to be an unparalleled achievement. Not bad. Not bad. I didn't expect such good fortune. Wang Ting was extremely pleased, grinning widely. Chapter 2120, Mission Exceeded. Death Level. 9. Colored Light Illusion Scripture. 3. Simply by exceeding the completion of some tasks, he unexpectedly gained an additional 30,000 points for nothing. Who wouldn't be happy about such a windfall? With 3.25 million points plus an extra 30,000 points, that added up to 3.28 million. Adding the previous 700,000 points, Wang Ting now had a total of 3.98 million points. This was a substantial sum. However, he was also somewhat surprised. Completing tasks with an excess got him a death level evaluation. Was that really possible? Death level tasks seemed to be the most difficult task level. Lai seemed to have done nothing and yet won big. This was a little ridiculous. It would be best not to let others know about this. What if the mission center suddenly revoked this record? That would be awkward. Lord Wang Ting, now that the handover is complete, we won't disturb you any longer, the Lion Man Elder proposed as he bid farewell. All right, thank you all. Wang Ting returned to his senses, nodding calmly. You're welcome. It's our duty. The Lion Man Elder respectfully bowed. Then, he left with the others, flying towards the spaceship in the sky and boarding it. In the next moment, the spaceship turned into a stream of light and departed. Outside the estate, the onlookers' eyes shimmered. These people had been inside for so long. Could it be that Wang Teng's task was out of the ordinary? As they speculated, everyone's wristwatch suddenly received a message at the same time. Congratulations to student Wang Ting for completing a death-level task on his first mission, breaking the record for the highest task difficulty among freshmen. Reward, 30,000 points. Death level? Damn. It's a death-level task. ISNT death level supposed to be impossible to complete. Wang Ting finished a death-level difficulty task. What on earth did he do? I get it now. No wonder those mission center people stayed inside for so long. They must have been verifying the accuracy of the task. Death level, how is that even possible? Really? No matter what, the mission won't be a death level one. Everyone was astounded and in disbelief. Wang Teng completed a death level mission, which was said to be impossible to complete. How did he manage to do that? While some were in shock, others finally realized. For a death-level difficulty task, the mission center would undoubtedly verify it meticulously to avoid any discrepancies. Simultaneously, this piece of news spread across the 7 stellar academies. The difficulty of tasks was the same for all the 7 stellar academies. Once a record was broken, it would naturally become known across the academies. Until now, throughout history, the highest level a freshman had ever completed was a hell-level mission. Everyone had always believed that this record couldn't be broken, at most it could be equaled. However, unexpectedly, someone had now completed a death-level difficulty mission, surpassing all previous achievements. Moreover, this person was quite familiar, Wang Ting. This name had appeared half a year ago and was quite prominent among the many geniuses. Being on the star rankings and breaking 2 records, he naturally became memorable. But in the 6 months that followed, there was no news about Wang Teng, and many people gradually forgot about him. Who knew that today, half a year later, this name would resurface in everyone's ears? Death level. Many geniuses muttered to themselves, their eyes flickering. Some were interested, some had a solemn expression, while others just sneered. Yu Yuanrue, Ji Haochen, and the others who were close to Wang Teng were stunned. This guy disappeared for half a year and now he was causing a stir again. The commotion outside did not affect Wang Teng. After seeing off the mission center personnel, he returned to his estate. With nearly 4 million points, he felt it was time to make a move. He hadn't come up with the heaven stage scripture, so he needed to start preparing. After all, his constellation poison force had already reached the 9th level, and some of the other constellation forces had reached the 6th level. If he didn't start preparing, he would be in a hurry later. After reaching the cosmos stage, Wang Ting realized that continuing to deduce the chaos constellation scripture had become much more difficult than before. This was only the heaven stage. What about the universe stage and eternal stage in the future? Just thinking about it, Wang Ting felt a moment of darkness, and his future seemed bleak. He undoubtedly chose the most difficult path. But thinking about these things now was useless. He could only go down this path. He immediately logged into the Stellar Academy's Treasure Pavilion, opened the interface for scriptures, and various scriptures were presented in front of him. Although he had seen it once, seeing the scriptures stored in the Treasure Pavilion again was still shocking. There were so many of them. The number of scriptures in the Academy's Treasure Pavilion was truly overwhelming. Wang Ting took a deep breath, and his gaze swept through the list of scripture categories. He began to select the scriptures he needed. He skipped ordinary scriptures directly, bypassing the 5-element attribute scriptures because he already had plenty of them. Usually, he could pick up quite a few through attribute gains. So, Wang Teng turned his attention to some rarer attribute scripture, such as the light element scriptures. Up until now, he had only obtained one advanced stage scripture, the elemental light divine scripture. But, this was a divine level scripture. It was too advanced for him. For his current level, its reference value was not that significant. So, Wang Teng decided to exchange for a heaven stage or universe stage light element scripture from the Treasure Pavilion. Chapter 21-21, Mission exceeded. Death level. 9. Colored light illusion scripture. 4. In the scripture category, Wang Teng opened the subclass of the light element scriptures and scrolled down line by line. The Jade Light Scripture, a Heaven Stage light element scripture. Light element martial warriors can cultivate it and it can reach the Heaven Stage. Price, 25,000 points. Cosmos Stage, 60,000 points. Heaven Stage, the Pearl Scripture, a Heaven Stage light element scripture. Light element martial warriors can cultivate it and it can reach the Heaven Stage. Price, 30,000 points. Cosmos Stage, 60,000 points. Heaven Stage, the Light Concealing Scripture, a Heaven Stage light element scripture. Light element martial warriors can cultivate it and it can reach the Heaven Stage. Price, 30,000 points. Cosmos Stage, 60,000 points. Heaven Stage, 9-color light illusion scripture, a Heaven Stage light element scripture. Light element martial warriors can cultivate it and it can reach the Eternal Stage. Note, cultivating this technique can allow you to transform 9 colors, possessing the power to transform all things. Price, 50,000 points. Cosmos Stage, 100,000 points. Heaven Stage, 300,000 points. Universe Stage, 800,000. Eternal Stage, as expected of the Stellar Academies. They even have an abundance of exceedingly rare light element scriptures, including the Cosmos Stage, the Heaven Stage, the Universe Stage, and even the Eternal Stage, all readily available, Wang Teng remarked as he looked at the list of scriptures. However, the sheer multitude of techniques made his eyes wander. There was no choice but to carefully examine each one, hoping to find a scripture that met his requirements. Huh! Suddenly, he couldn't help but exclaim softly, his gaze abruptly stopping. 9-colored light illusion scripture. This scripture is interesting. Wang Ting's gaze finally landed on an Eternal Stage scripture. According to the description, this scripture was called the 9-color light illusion scripture. While it belonged to the light element, it possessed the ability of illusion, making it extraordinarily mysterious. To exchange or not? This scripture is not cheap. Wang Ting pondered for a moment. He was very interested in the 9-color light illusion scripture, and instead of exchanging it for a Heaven Stage scripture, he decided to go for the Eternal Stage one. After all, it included the cultivation methods for Heaven Stage and Universe Stage as well, all seamlessly connected. There was no need to worry about incompatibility between different scriptures. Let's choose this technique. In the end, with a flicker in his eyes, he made a decision. Subsequently, Wang Ting directly spent 1.25 million points, exchanging for the complete set of scriptures for the 9-color light illusion scripture, ranging from the Cosmos Stage to the Eternal Stage. He didn't need to buy the Universe Stage or the Eternal Stage scriptures first. He could start with the Heaven Stage. However, since he had chosen this technique, he would eventually have to exchange for them sooner or later. It was better to do it now and avoid future complications. Of course, it was also because he currently possessed a substantial fortune of 3.98 million points. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to make such a move. After exchanging for the 9-colored light illusion scripture, Wang Teng left the treasure pavilion. He had no intention of making any more exchanges. Although he lacked corresponding Heaven Stage scriptures for wind and lightning elements, there were plenty of martial warriors with these attributes in the Stellar Academies. Wang Teng could easily acquire the scriptures without spending points. After some time, someone delivered the 9-colored light illusion scripture. Once again, a spaceship hovered above Wang Teng's estate, and a martial warrior descended, appearing at the mansion's entrance. Wang Teng instructed Round Ball to open the gate and let the visitor in. Lord Wang Teng, these are the scriptures you exchanged for. Surprisingly, the visitor was a Universe Stage martial warrior. Similar to the elderly lion man from before, he showed great respect to Wang Teng. Handing over a sealed golden box, he said, "Please present your identification to receive this scripture." Wang Teng nodded, opened his wristwatch, and allowed the other party to verify his identity. Verification complete. Wishing you pleasant cultivation. The Universe Stage martial warrior also opened his smart wristwatch and scanned it. Then, he nodded and took his leave. Wang Teng returned to the cultivation room, opened the box, and found a piece of beast skin scroll inside. Crafted from the hide of an unknown star beast, It emitted a peculiar energy. They record it in this way? He was somewhat surprised and took out the beast skin to unfold it. What's so strange about it? Some high-level scriptures even contain true martial arts wisdom. Hence, they can't be recorded on ordinary paper. It simply can't withstand it, Round Ball explained. Well, it's my first time using this, so it feels a bit odd. Wang Ting shrugged, his gaze focused on the content on the beast skin scroll. First time? Where did you get all your powerful scriptures then? Round Ball asked curiously. Guess. Wang Teng replied without lifting his head. TSK. Round Barley pouted. It stopped talking when it saw Wang Ting studying the scripture seriously. The difficulty of the 9-colored light illusion scripture exceeded Wang Teng's expectations. In the past, he obtained insights into scriptures directly by picking up attributes, which was not as complicated. Now, relying on his cultivation, he finally realized how challenging it was to comprehend these high-level techniques. Fortunately, his enlightenment had reached the universe stage, so understanding scriptures below that level wasn't too difficult. It only took a bit of time to fully grasp it. However, he didn't want to waste time. After reviewing the 9-color light illusion scripture, he shifted his focus to the attributes board. 9-colored light illusion scripture, Eternal Stage 1 5000, Foundation. Just the foundation stage requires 5000 attribute point. Wang Teng's heart ached a little, but he still used his blank attributes. 9-colored light illusion scripture, Eternal Stage 1 20,000, Specialized. Wang Teng directly elevated the 9-color light illusion scripture from the foundation stage to the specialized stage, and a sense of enlightenment arose within him. So that's how it is, using the variations of light to achieve the power of illusion. The creator of this scripture had ingenious ideas. Wang Ting murmured to himself, a strange gleam in his eyes. At this moment, he had mastered the 9-colored light illusion scripture to the specialized stage. He was completely familiar with its heaven stage scripture. In the next instant, radiant light emanated from his body, casting a brilliant glow over him. However, this radiance quickly twisted, and his figure vanished within the cultivation room. In reality, Wang Ting still stood there. He just utilized the illusionary power of the 9-color light illusion scripture to alter the characteristics of the light, covering his body as if he had disappeared entirely. It was a form of concealment, exceptionally clever. Wang Ting felt extremely pleased. From now on, even in environments as bright as daylight, he could completely conceal himself. Unless facing an eternal stage or higher-level martial warrior, or someone with a specific sensing method, it would be challenging to detect Wang Teng. He continued his cultivation without leaving the cultivation room. A day passed quickly. On the final day, Wang Teng received a message from Yu Chiqiao and left the cultivation room, gathering with others within the Constellation Society's estate. The members of the Constellation Society had completely assimilated the pills Wang Teng provided, experiencing a significant leap in their strength. Now, they stood before Wang Teng, faces filled with excitement, anticipation, and even a hint of battle spirit. Everyone, today is the last day of the freshman leaderboard. Wang Ting glanced around, calmly stating, many are expecting us to fail. What do you say? Can we let them have their way? No. The members of the Constellation Society roared in response. Very good. Wang Teng's face revealed a hint of satisfaction. He nodded and continued, go, leave your names on the freshman leaderboard today. Let everyone know that you are no weaker than anyone else. You are also geniuses. You are the geniuses of my Constellation Society. Fight. Wang Teng's voice grew louder, escalating into a passionate proclamation that echoed in the surroundings. Fight. 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 The members of the Constellation Society were now completely ablaze with battle spirit, their eyes shining with an unyielding light as they shouted in unison. Chapter 21-22, The Yuan Judging Hall. Yuan Mu. 1. The 5th day. The last day to fight for the freshman leaderboard. After today, the freshman leaderboard for this year would be frozen, etched into the history of the 7th Stellar Academy. All the new students of the 7th Stellar Academy have now appeared at the freshman leaderboard, each one putting in their best effort for this moment. The The surroundings of the freshman leaderboard were buzzing with excitement, as each talented martial warrior occupied different positions, attentively observing the changes on the freshman leaderboard. One by one, these geniuses entered the freshman leaderboard. The freshman leaderboard, which had been silent for a while, began to undergo drastic changes once again. In the distance, a massive dark red spacecraft appeared in the sky. This peculiar spacecraft resembled a gigantic dragon's head, sharp and majestic. The dark red metallic body seemed to emanate a terrifying temperature, discouraging anyone from approaching. The spacecraft came to a halt, and a group of martial warriors flew out, landing in an open space. They gazed from afar at the freshman leaderboard. Their appearances were extraordinarily strange, each of them with robust and towering figures, adorned with horns on their heads, exuding a commanding aura. Whether male or female, all of them were extremely tall. However, compared to the ruggedness of the male martial warriors, the female martial warriors, while still towering, appeared more gentle, giving off a sensation of oversized beauty. Especially one of the women, clad in dark red battle armor, accentuating her ample figure to the fullest. Many male martial warriors couldn't help but cast their gazes toward her, some even unable to resist swallowing saliva. Unfortunately, the imposing aura of this group of people was too overwhelming. Even just standing there, others dared not approach. Zhulong Shan, your elder brother asked for a drop of solar dragon blood from your family to help you activate the bloodline power in your body. Don't disappoint him. Zhulong Hao stood in front and turned to speak to the young solar dragon race beside him. I know. Zhulong Shan nodded with a grim expression. Compared to half a year ago, whether it was the aura emanating from his body or the overall temperament, it was like night and day. Zhulong Shan exuded an unruly and untamed temperament half a year ago, but now, that wildness had been tempered to a considerable extent. Although it still existed, it was completely different. Everyone had pride, but displaying it too much led to arrogance, even foolishness. The current Zhulong Shan wouldn't be so arrogant anymore. Perhaps the stimulation from Wang Ting had made him understand that there were always people better than oneself. There were many geniuses here, and the solar dragon race was not the strongest presence. Has Wang Ting arrived? Zhulong Shuang scanned the area, searching for the figure she was quite concerned about. That guy took away 500,000 points from her. Just thinking about it made her teeth ache. Wang Ting. Zhulong Shan's gaze darkened for a moment, but soon it subsided. I heard he can now defeat Heaven Stage martial warriors. Zhulong Hao frowned. Zhulong Shan's expression changed. If Wang Ting could already defeat Heaven Stage martial warriors, wouldn't that mean they were about on the same level now? Had that guy grown so quickly? It's the vice president of the Qingyang Society, Wan Banlian. I know that woman. She grew up with the support of the Qingyang Society, so her combat power might not be that strong, Zhulong Shuang said dismissively. Qingyang Society, Wan Banlian. Zhulong Hao shook his head and continued, overall, being able to defeat Heaven Stage opponents proves that Wang Ting is growing rapidly. If Zhulong Shan hadn't absorbed the solar dragon blood in the past 6 months, he might not be able to contend with him. Zhulong Shuang nodded. She glanced at the silent Zhulong Shan and smiled. It looks like He's still a formidable opponent. I will defeat him this time. Zhulong Shan spoke with determination. Zhulong Hao and Zhulong Shuang nodded secretly when they saw his expression. His morale was still intact, not completely crushed. It indicated a good temperament. Zhulong Shan could still be considered promising. By the way, how did the family react to the universe stage body you retrieved from Wang Ting? Zhulong Hao asked. No issues. Although the body has many injuries, there doesn't seem to be any sign of research. The blood of origin is almost depleted and hasn't been taken away. It seems that Wang Ting has no interest in it, Zhulong Shuang said. Moreover, according to the information from the Great Qian Empire, this body was indeed snatched by Wang Ting from the dark apparitions. We should be grateful to him. Is that so? Zhulong Hao's gaze softened slightly, nodding. It seems this Wang Ting truly lives up to his genius reputation, possessing absolute confidence in himself and disdain for delving into such matters. Moreover, Being able to snatch back that universe stage body from the dark apparitions is truly surprising. To kill a universe stage martial warrior from our clan, the dark apparition must be at least a high-tier devil emperor. How did he manage that? The circumstances at the time are unclear. This is a top secret in the Great Qian Empire. However, I believe there were other strong individuals from the Great Qian Empire present at the time, Zhu Longshuang explained. Zhu Longhao nodded thoughtfully. Soon, his expression became more solemn. Regardless, for Wang Ting to participate in such battles at the celestial stage, his strength is not to be underestimated. Perhaps he still has some trump cards we're unaware of. Impossible. Scenes of his previous battles flashed in Zhu Longshan's mind. He frowned. He can't possibly have more tricks up his sleeve. Can you be sure? Zhu Longshuang's lips curled into a somewhat mysterious smile as she asked in return. Chapter 21-23, The Yuan Judging Hall. Yuan Mu. 2. Well, Zhu Longshan didn't know what to say. Never underestimate any opponent, especially someone you've already lost to, Zhu Longhao warned. On the other side, a figure clad in black armor stood alone outside the crowd, also gazing at the freshman leaderboard. His eyes occasionally scanned through the crowd as if searching for a particular figure. That's Lu Tian. It's him. I didn't expect him to come. He's already at the third place on the freshman leaderboard. Is he trying to challenge the second? Lu Tian's bloodlust aura has gotten stronger. One wonder how strong he is. Many people around noticed the figure in black armor. Their eyes filled with surprise, and they couldn't help but discuss in hushed tones. At that moment, a commotion stirred within the crowd as people spontaneously moved aside, creating a path. A figure walked through. Feng Mo. A seemingly indifferent young man appeared before the crowd, and soon, someone recognized him. It's him. Feng Mo joined the Heaven Crane Hall. Rumor has it that he went on a mission with senior students immediately after joining and, upon returning, went straight to the fourth position on the freshman leaderboard. The Heaven Crane Hall is a powerful old force, even stronger than the Qingyang Society. The fact that Feng Mo is valued by the Heaven Crane Hall is surprising. It seems his talent is quite strong, and his strength is extraordinary. The fourth position might not be his limit. This person might also contend for the second place. Feng Mo's appearance drew the attention of many. Even Lu Tian turned to glance at him. Their eyes met in mid-air, both gazes firm. Simultaneously, a thought crossed their minds. This person is a formidable opponent. After returning from Scorpion Kingstar, Feng Mo realized the significant gap between himself and Wang Teng. Feeling unwilling to accept this reality, he dedicated himself to cultivation. Coupled with the Heaven Crane Hall's attention and the abundant resources provided, his strength experienced a tremendous boost. However, upon hearing that Wang Ting could easily defeat a Heaven Stage martial warrior, Feng Mo understood that the gap between them was still considerable. Wang Teng's strength must have grown even more significantly. While Feng Mo had previously fought and defeated a Heaven Stage martial warrior, he couldn't reach the level Wang Teng had achieved. He couldn't help but wonder, how wide was the gap between him and Wang Ting now? Feng Mo harbored a strong unwillingness, yet couldn't help but feel a hint of powerlessness. That person was just too strong. Ha ha ha, Feng Mo, long time no see. Since our last encounter, it's been half a year. At this moment, laughter echoed from a distance. Reynolds. Feng Mo squinted and turned. A streak of lightning descended from the sky, transforming into a purple-haired figure. Have a good fight with me later. I won't lose to you again. The lightning dissipated around Reynolds as he approached, speaking confidently. You are not my match. Feng Mo replied calmly. H, you're too conceited. You're not the only one who improved tremendously in the past 6 months. Who wins and who loses is still uncertain. If you underestimate me, you'll be the one who loses. Reynolds snorted coldly. Since you put it that way, one don't mind letting you see the reality, Feng Mo replied calmly. See the reality? Reynolds sneered and said, then let's wait and see. This time, I not only want to defeat you but also claim the first position on the freshman leaderboard. One will become the strongest in our batch. The first on the freshman leaderboard? Feng Mo glanced at him, finding this person truly ignorant. With that person around, who could become the first? Reynolds felt Feng Mo's gaze was somewhat strange but couldn't figure out what it meant. He frowned and asked, "What's with that look? Are you looking down on me? Idiot." Feng Mo walked to the side, refusing to pay any attention to him. Reynolds, "Look, that's Wu Yang, ranked second on the freshman leaderboard." Suddenly, a cry of astonishment echoed around. Feng Mo and Reynolds both looked up and saw a spacecraft descending. From it emerged a handsome young man with a head of black hair. Despite his striking appearance, his face was adorned with peculiar patterns, giving off an eerie vibe. This person was none other than Wu Yang, the genius from the Witch Tower territorial domain. During the journey to the Uncharted, Wu Yang had once tried to persuade Wang Teng to team up against Zhulong Shan, but Wang Teng had rejected the proposal. Unexpectedly, after 6 months, Wu Yang had silently risen to the second position on the freshman leaderboard. Wu Yang's appearance caused quite a stir, and many people looked at him with wary eyes. Wu Yang was a poison element martial warrior, cultivating a certain poison-based technique. His various poison techniques were extremely mysterious and formidable. Those who had faced him before had fallen victim to severe poisoning, narrowly escaping death. It could be said that poison element martial warriors were the least welcomed opponents. Especially powerful poison element martial warriors like Wu Yang. Lu Tian looked over too. He had never fought with Wu Yang before, but if he wanted to be second, he needed to defeat this person. Wu Yang seemed to have noticed Lu Tian's gaze and turned to look at him, a faint smile appearing on his lips. Feng Mo was also assessing Wu Yang, his eyes revealing a peculiar expression. Few knew that Feng Mo was also a poison element martial warrior. Seeing Wu Yang, he felt a sense of camaraderie and a rising determination to challenge him. Even if he couldn't defeat Wang Ting, he could defeat this person, right? At this moment, he only desired to contend for the second position, as the first was something he didn't dare to think about. However, securing the second position was still within his reach. Wu Yang was momentarily surprised. Shifting his gaze away from Lu Tian, he looked at Feng Mo, squinting his eyes with a hint of interest. A poison element martial warrior? His heart couldn't help but stir as if he had sensed something. A look of genuine interest appeared in his eyes. Unexpectedly, besides Lu Tian, there was someone else who could pique his interest. Indeed, as they reached this final moment, all sorts of extraordinary individuals emerged. Boom! A peculiar black spacecraft swiftly approached from a distance, eventually coming to a gentle stop in the airspace above everyone. A universe-level spacecraft. Everyone looked up in surprise. Among the new students, a universe-level spacecraft was still relatively rare. Even individuals like Wu Yang and others had only used heaven-level spacecraft. Yet, a universe-level spacecraft suddenly appeared. This was astonishing. The design of this spacecraft is quite unique, unlike anything I've seen before. A glint flashed in Lu Tian's eyes. The frigid and sharp sense of slaughter emanating from the spacecraft intrigued him. He wanted this spacecraft. Just as people were speculating about the owner of the spacecraft's cabin door opened, and figures floated out, suspending themselves in mid-air. Before long, more than 300 people gathered in the sky, creating an imposing presence that left everyone astonished. After these 300 individuals appeared, another figure walked out from the spacecraft, entering everyone's field of vision. Wang Ting. There was an uproar. Everyone looked at the tall and slender figure with different expressions in their eyes. The appearance of Wang Ting undoubtedly set the atmosphere ablaze. Wang Teng's reputation was undeniably immense. All the new students of the 7th Stellar Academy recognized him. His strength was widely acknowledged as extremely formidable, and many believed he was the most popular contender for the top spot on the freshman leaderboard. Wang Ting is finally here. Now there's a good show to watch. That Yuan Mu has been holding on to the top spot on the freshman leaderboard, and no one has ever been able to shake him. One wonder if Wang Ting can pull him down. Wang Ting has a chance, after all. He was once the top. It's just that he's been outside for the past half year and hasn't competed for the top spot. Otherwise, we wouldn't be uncertain about who holds the top position. Speaking of Yuan Mu, Hez from the Yuan Judging Hall, and his surname is Yuan. Could it be the Yuan Judging Hall? That's the most powerful faction in our 7th Stellar Academy. His surname is Yuan, right? If Hez related to that person, Wang Ting might have some difficulty taking the first spot. Voices echoed, and everyone discussed whether Wang Ting could once again secure the top spot and become the strongest of this batch. Some speculated about the identity of the current top-ranked student, Yuan Mu, who remained mysterious, rarely appearing except when seizing the top spot. Consequently, people had no clue about his background. Chapter 21-24, The Rise of the Constellation Society, Taking Over the Ranking. 1. Yuan Judging Hall. Yuan Mu. Wang Ting heard the discussions below and a look of surprise crossed his face. Then, his gaze landed on the top of the freshman leaderboard, where a conspicuous name caught his attention, Yuan Mu. This spot should bear his name. However, during his absence from the academy over the past 6 months, other geniuses had risen, leading to a natural turnover in rankings. While curious about how the other had claimed the top spot, Wang Ting also wondered about Yuan Mu's strength. How strong was Yuan Mu? According to the discussions below, Yuan Mu seemed to have a formidable background. Wang Ting, Yuan Judging Hall is extraordinary. It was created by the judge of the 7th Stellar Academy, Round Ball exclaimed in surprise, his voice resonating in Wang Ting's mind. The 7th judge? Wang Ting asked. That's right. The judge's surname is Yuan. Hence, the Yuan Judging Hall is named after his surname, Round Ball said. Named after his surname, quite confident and domineering, Wang Ting marveled, chuckling. Are you really in a position to comment? Your Constellation Society is not exactly humble, even more so than the other, Round Ball retorted. Ha ha ha. Is that so? Wang Ting laughed awkwardly. That Yuan Mu comes from Yuan Judging Hall, and his surname is Yuan. His background is likely not simple. Round Ball chose to ignore Wang Ting, but it still offered a reminder. Could he be related to that judge? Perhaps they are from the same family? Wang Ting nodded thoughtfully. I don't know. The identity of the 7th judge is even more mysterious, and I haven't heard of any family with the surname Yuan. Round Ball commented. Wang Ting nodded in agreement, not pressing further. Regardless of Yuan Mu's background, defeating him was the primary goal. There could only be one person at the top of the freshman leaderboard. Let's go down, Wang Ting said. The 300 members of the Constellation Society followed behind him, descending toward a vast open space below. On a distant spaceship, members of the Qingyang Society also arrived. Feng Qingyang and Ruan Banlian, viewing the scene through panoramic simulation, furrowed their brows. It seems like the members of the Constellation Society have become stronger, Ruan Banlian uncertainly remarked. I heard that Wang Ting consecutively refined 9 batches of pills for 3 days, successfully providing the required pills for all the members of the Constellation Society. A senior member of the Qingyang Society standing behind them expressed with amazement. For 3 full days, he refined a total of 6 times, each time producing 9 batches of pills. Wang Ting is truly terrifying. More than terrifying. It's downright insane. Who refines pills like that? How profound must Wang Ting's alchemical skills be to achieve such a level? Behind them, the high-ranking members of the Qingyang Society murmured, their hearts far from calm. That's enough. Ruan Banlian's expression turned somewhat unpleasant. These fellows were boosting other people's morale and destroying their own at a time when they were about to compete for the top spot on the freshman leaderboard. Qi Lianfeng, how's the progress of the 6 elemental spirit pills I gave you before? Feng Qingyang, maintaining a calm demeanor, asked. President, don't worry. We have completely absorbed and refined the 6 elemental spirit pills. Our strength has skyrocketed by 2 levels, and this time, we will definitely not lose to the members of the Constellation Society. Qi Lianfeng stepped forward, respectfully saluting and displaying a determined gleam in his eyes. Very good. I specially asked a Grandmaster Alchemist to make the Grandmaster 5th rank 6 elemental spirit pills for you. One hope that you won't disappoint me, Feng Qingyang said. Yes. Qi Lianfeng, Wen Ningfu, and the others responded in unison. If one observed carefully, they would notice a certain abnormal paleness in their complexions as if they had suffered severe injuries. It wasn't the case. They appeared this way due to consuming the 6 elemental spirit pills. The 6 elemental spirit pill was a Grandmaster 5th rank pill with excessively violent medicinal properties, carrying certain drawbacks. After taking it, while it forcefully enhanced one's strength, it would also cause some internal injuries to the consumer. These internal injuries needed gradual recuperation over time to recover fully. However, this method of enhancing strength had its drawbacks and was not beneficial for martial warriors. On the other hand, the Heavenly Essence Gathering Pill refined by Wang Ting had no such drawbacks. The medicinal power of the Heavenly Essence Gathering Pill was relatively gentle, and the extent of improvement depended on individual aptitude. Nevertheless, it was still formidable, as it could elevate one to 4 small realms. Most members of the Constellation Society had generally improved by 2 or 3 small realms. In this regard, it was not inferior to the 6 elemental spirit pills. If Feng Qingyang knew that the elixir he had painstakingly obtained from a Grandmaster alchemist was not as effective as the pills mass-produced by Wang Teng, one wonders how he would feel. As the members of the Constellation Society landed on the ground, one by one, they entered the freshman leaderboard to begin challenging the rankings. Those around had been paying attention to the Constellation Society, and seeing them entering the freshman leaderboard, there was a sudden surge of excitement. The Constellation Society has entered. They haven't acted for the past few days. It seems they've been waiting for today to unleash their trump cards. I heard that Wang Teng has concocted Grandmaster-level pills for them. Is it true? Didn't you hear about the commotion in the alchemy volcano? Damn, Grandmaster-level pills. Wang Teng's generosity knows no bounds. Being a Grandmaster alchemist is truly impressive. He is remarkable, concocting pills for over 300 people in just 3 days. It's like child's play. As time passed, the first batch of Constellation Society members emerged from the freshman leaderboard. They caused a surprising change in the rankings. Chapter 21-25, The Rise of the Constellation Society, Taking Over the Ranking. 2. It's Han Tianyu, a member of the Constellation Society. He entered the top 100 directly. Oh my god. Oh my god. That Chen Liangping used to be around my rank, outside the top 1000. Now, he has unexpectedly surged into the 500 range. And that Carlson. He went from 2000 to 1200th position. Damn, is he riding a rocket or something? As people observed the changes on the freshman leaderboard, they were all dumbfounded, finding it hard to accept this reality. Those who were originally at a similar level to them were now skyrocketing in rankings. This feeling was hard to bear. Don't underestimate those ranked just over 1000. In reality, it was already quite impressive. Considering that this batch of new students consisted of tens of thousands from various regions of the universe, each one a genius, breaking into the top 1000 indicated a high level of talent. In fact, breaking into the top 3000 was already a considerable achievement. Beyond this point, further improvement in rankings became increasingly challenging. Not only did one's cultivation need to be elevated, but mastery of various scriptures, battle techniques, ultimas, and domains also had to surpass others significantly. Otherwise, it was impossible to squeeze into the top 3000. Strength was a comprehensive assessment. Why could Wang Ting repeatedly engage in battles beyond his level? It was because the power of his domains, battle techniques, scripture, and other aspects far surpassed the others. So, when people witnessed the Constellation Society members instantly climbing hundreds of places, they were genuinely shocked. Feng Qingyan's brow furrowed, and his mood instantly turned unpleasant. Every time he encountered something related to the Constellation Society, he couldn't find joy in it. Beside him, Ruan Banlian's expression also became extremely gloomy. But this situation was far from over. After the first batch of Constellation Society members entered the freshman leaderboard, the second batch quickly followed suit, challenging the rankings. Half a day passed in the blink of an eye, and all the Constellation Society members had entered the freshman leaderboard, completing their respective duels. Everyone noticed that the rankings of Constellation Society members were all rising, some by hundreds, even 1,000 places, while others improved by 100 or 200 places. Without exception, not a single Constellation Society member fell behind. The onlookers were at a loss for words, all sinking into a state of shock. After careful calculation, they realized that out of the 300-plus Constellation Society members, 7 had entered the top 100. 5 of them entered the top 150. 8 of them made it to the top 200. 30 entered the top 500. 50 were in the top 1,000. 30 reached the top 1,500. 38 made it to the top 2,000. 56 entered the top 2,500. And more than 100 entered the top 3,000. In other words, all the current members of the Constellation Society have entered the top 3,000. It was simply a domination of the charts. This was a terrifying statistic. More than 300 people from a faction have all entered the top 3,000. This ratio was something even powerful factions like the Yuan Judging Hall wouldn't dare to imagine. It was like they were cheating. Many who voluntarily left the Constellation Society now regretted their decision deeply. Wasn't the Constellation Society supposed to disband? Why did it suddenly rise to dominance? The script was not supposed to go this way. How is this possible? Ruan Banlian's face looked unsightly, and she couldn't believe it. What kind of pill did Wang Teng give them? Why did these Constellation Society members improve so much? Snap! Feng Qingyang crushed the cup in his hand, his eyes flashing with a cold light. This guy cannot be left alive. An individual, even a genius, was not always terrifying, especially when you think of them as just one person. But now, Wang Ting's demonstrated strength was not just about him alone. It encompassed the entire Constellation Society. He alone has propelled the entire Constellation Society forward. It had only been 5 days since his return, and he had elevated the strength of the Constellation Society members to this extent. What would happen in the future? If this momentum continued, he hardly needed to think. It was almost a certainty that the Constellation Society would surpass their Qingyang Society. This person was a monster. There are a few top talents from the Constellation Society who haven't fought. They are the ones who fought in the recent arena battles. Qi Lianfeng, Gaden, Wen Ningfu, I'm giving you 3 a chance. Defeat the top talents of the Constellation Society for me. Don't let them surpass you, Feng Qingyang said. Yes. Qi Lianfeng and the others turned serious. They knew that their president was truly angered. If they couldn't complete this task, it might be difficult for them to stay in the Qingyang Society in the future. The 3 of them flew out from the spacecraft, hovering in the sky, looking towards the direction of the Constellation Society. Yu Yunxian, do you dare to fight with me? Qi Lianfeng shouted. Wang Ting looked up, a hint of interest appearing on his face. He turned to Yu Yunxian and chuckled. Brother Yunxian, he wants to challenge you. A defeated opponent isn't worth a fight, Yu Yunxian replied calmly. Ha ha ha. Wang Ting burst out laughing. Qi Lianfeng's expression turned ugly. He seemed to have suffered a great insult. He coldly said, if you don't accept the challenge, one will continue to challenge other members of the Constellation Society. Let's see if they can stop me or not. Noisy. Yu Yunxian frowned slightly. Wang Ting also restrained the smile on his face and said lightly, since he wants to play, Wang Ting, go up and play with him. All right. Wade's small eyes lit up. He flew towards the sky and said, my boss wants me to play with you. Are you looking down on me? Qi Lianfeng frowned and said coldly. Stupid fatty, you got lucky last time, and you became arrogant. If you want a fight, I'll accompany you. Gaden took a step forward and glared at Wade. You're not qualified. Wade glanced at him and raised a finger, shaking it. Damn it. Gaden was furious. If it wasn't for this fatso's tricky tactics last time, he wouldn't have lost. Now, this guy dared to look down on him. Qi Lianfeng suddenly stopped him. All right, since Wang Ting sent you to your death, I'll fulfill your wish. Who said someone will die? Wade rolled his eyes and flew towards the freshman leaderboard. Anyone who doesn't come is a coward. Chi Lianfeng snorted. He flew towards the freshman leaderboard too. He couldn't tolerate being looked down upon by a fatty. Gaden and Wen Ningfu exchanged glances with each other and looked down. Yu Chiqiao, fight with me again, Wen Ningfu said coldly. I'm not interested in defeated opponents. Yu Chiqiao shook her head. Wen Ningfu was furious, but she couldn't do anything to the other party. I sent it a little risky to let Wade fight with Qi Lianfeng. Yu Chiqiao ignored him and asked Wang Ting using voice transmission. It's fine. He can handle it, Wang Ting said calmly. Yu Chiqiao remained silent. Since Wang Ting said so, she could only trust him. The freshman leaderboard was a little irritating. Apart from his own battles, he couldn't pick up attribute bubbles from others' fights. Thus, he couldn't be bothered to watch. When Ningfu was almost going crazy, Yu Chiqiao completely ignored her. Was there anything more infuriating than being treated with such disregard? Before long, the freshman leaderboard changed again. Surprisingly, Wade replaced Qi Lianfeng, appearing in the 15th position. What? When Ningfu and Gaden widened their eyes, full of disbelief. That fatty actually won? Qi Lianfeng consumed the 6 elemental spirit pills, and his ability rose by 2 small levels. In the end, he still lost to the fatty. What happened in these few days? Qi Lianfeng walked out of the new talent list with a gloomy face, not saying a word. Wade also walked out, grinning. He had suffered a lot inside, but he won. Now, he couldn't help but look at Qi Lianfeng with a triumphant expression. Boss, I won. He descended from the sky, approached Wang Ting, and said. Not bad, Wang Ting said casually. Hehe, thanks to the crystals you gave me, my physique broke through a small realm. Otherwise, I wouldn't have won against Qi Lianfeng, Wade said. Yu Yunxian, standing nearby, looked at him with surprise. This guy had shown some brilliance during the League of Talents, but he didn't expect him to rise in the Stellar Academies as well. Although he was only in 15th place, unable to compete with the top 10 geniuses, it was still impressive. At least, he had progressed much more than before. Chapter 21-26 Feather Race. Is the Constellation Society still accepting members? 1. I should make a move too. Yu Chiqiao smiled, strolling toward the freshman leaderboard. Wade's performance had put some pressure on her. After all, she was the vice president of the Constellation Society. How could she lose to a subordinate? Sister Yu, all the best. Wade shouted. Yu Chiqiao entered the freshman leaderboard, challenging the 10th position, Tai Beisho. A female warrior flew out from the crowd. She had a graceful figure, long golden hair flowing down, and, surprisingly, a pair of snowy white wings on her back. She wore a platinum-colored battle armor, resembling a female war god. She walked toward the freshman leaderboard confidently, not using the wings behind her. This scene attracted a lot of attention. B0XO. Tai Beisho's appearance was too dazzling, and her temperament, even in the vast crowd, would stand out the most. In her, Wang Ting seemed to see the shadows of Kang Yu and Little Chinga. Of course, it wasn't that they looked similar, but their unique temperament was remarkably alike. Feather race. Wang Ting looked at that figure in astonishment and muttered to himself. I didn't expect to see the feather race in the Stellar Academies. Round Ball's surprised voice also rang out. Let's go. Let's take a look. Wang Ting stood up and flew toward the freshman leaderboard, following behind Tai Beisho. Wade, Yu Yunxian, Borit, and the others exchanged glances with one another. They were surprised. Could it be that the boss is attracted by that beautiful woman? Wade doubted. There were always beauties around Wang Ting, so he suspected that Wang Ting was a magnet for lovely ladies. Yu Yunxian and Borit exchanged peculiar glances. Soon, the three followed Wang Ting into the freshman leaderboard, appearing in a space where they could observe the matches. In another space, Yu Chiqiao and Tai Beisho stood facing each other, separated by thousands of meters. Yu Chiqiao held a blue battle sword in her hand, and a faint domain power surrounded her, forming strands of sword light. Tai Beishaw's weapon was also a battle sword, a platinum-colored one that emitted a dazzling light, resembling a radiant beam. Boom! The battle erupted instantly, sword light crisscrossing the void. Tai Beishaw's attacks transformed into dazzling white sword lights, illuminating the entire space with brilliance. Moreover, those white sword lights, like rays of light, moved extremely fast, instantly appearing in front of Yu Qiqiao. Yu Qiqiao's expression changed slightly. The sword light enveloping her in the surrounding domain burst forth, blocking the attack, but her expression became extremely solemn. The 10 position was unexpectedly strong. This was completely beyond her expectations. She no longer held back. Her water-lunar domain completely erupted. A huge moon rose and an illusionary sword glow slashed out. Tai Beishaw's pupils slightly contracted. She knew Yu Qiqiao, the vice president of the Constellation Society. The previous battles between the Constellation Society and the Qingyang Society had caused quite a stir, and as a newcomer, she couldn't be ignorant of it. She had watched the battle between Yu Qiqiao and Wen Ningfu. Actually, she didn't want to participate in the fight. In her view, there was still a gap between Yu Qiqiao and her. However, Yu Qiqiao's peculiar sword domain made her somewhat interested. But now, it seemed that the opponent's strength had improved compared to a few days ago. At least she felt threatened by this sword domain. As the large moon rose, endless illusions appeared before her eyes. In those illusions, she couldn't see where the attacks were coming from. In another space, Wang Ting's eyes slightly brightened. She's indeed a light element martial warrior. Just now, he used real eye outside and discovered that this lady was a light element martial warrior. That was why he followed inside. He wasn't a pervert. If only I could pick up some attributes. Wang Teng watched as the opponent displayed light element battle techniques, shaking his head with regret. At this moment, he and Yu Qiqiao were completely in two different spaces. His spiritual power couldn't extend over there at all. I wonder how this space is created. Wang Teng couldn't help but wonder. Considering that he possessed spatial talents, a thought suddenly popped into his mind. Once this thought arose, it couldn't be suppressed. Why not explore the depths of this space? What if there's something to gain? This area was somewhat similar to space fragments, and there were special changes. If he could peek into the secrets within, there might be some future benefits, especially for creating internal worlds. With this in mind, Wang Teng ignited his space physique instantly. Strange space fluctuations emanated silently from him, extending like tentacles to sense the secrets within this space. Wang Teng's space physique had already reached the 4th rank and he even grasped the 1st rank space domain. His understanding of space was quite profound. As his spatial perception spread, he felt that the space in front of him seemed to undergo a sudden change. He saw it. It became like two bubbles connected to each other, intertwined. On his side, he could see the situation on the opposite end through this connection. Furthermore, he found out that around his bubble, there were even more bubbles connected in pairs. Similar to the one he became in, one contained scenes of other warriors battling, and the other was filled with spectators. If he wanted to watch a particular match, he could enter the corresponding bubble. Wait. Wang Teng found out another interesting thing. The spectator area bubble seemed to be an accessory to the combat space bubble, like a parent and child space. Chapter 21-27, Feather Race. Is the Constellation Society still accepting members? 2. This mechanism is quite intriguing. I never thought that space could be manipulated in such a way. I wonder what level of strength the person who invented this space is at. Eternal stage? Or perhaps the universe stage? Unfortunately, I haven't reached that realm yet, so I can't fully comprehend the subtleties of that state. Wang Teng's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, and a flash of insight crossed his mind. Since it was a parent-child space, he could extend his spiritual power over there. Moreover, he had already found the passages connecting the two spaces through spatial perception. What a pleasant surprise, Wang Teng chuckled to himself. He had initially thought he couldn't pick up attribute bubbles, but fortunately, he took the time to sense the situation. In the next moment, His spiritual power extended through the passages detected by spatial perception to the other side of the battle space. At this point, his spiritual power resembled a small snake, crawling at the end of the passage. In front of him was the entrance to the battle space. The little snake cautiously peeked inside, like a cunning hunter. Yu Qiqiao and Tai Beisho's battle hadn't ended. If he went in now, it might disrupt their fight, which wouldn't be good. Boom! In the space, a sudden roar echoed, and a brilliant white sword light slashed out, tearing through Yu Qiqiao's domain and defeating her. Yu Qiqiao lost. Tai Beisho's strength was more than just 10th place. Yu Qiqiao had clearly encountered a tough opponent. Wang Ting couldn't help but shake his head with regret. Yu Qiqiao's strength had improved recently, but compared to Tai Beisho, she still fell short. The opponent was an extremely rare light element martial warrior, and the techniques she mastered were also very unique. It was challenging for ordinary warriors to handle. As the match ended, Wang Ting immediately controlled his spiritual power snake to enter and collect the attribute bubbles dropped by Tai Beisho and Yu Qiqiao. Cosmos Realm Spirit *I50 Universe Realm Enlightenment *2000 Light Constellation Force *750 Light Domain *3000 Holy Light Sword Scripture *450 Cosmos Realm Spirit *I60 Universe Realm Enlightenment *I80 Water Constellation Force *70 Indeed, there are good things. Wang Ting's eyes lit up slightly. He knew that this light element martial warrior would drop a considerable number of attribute bubbles. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to such lengths to study the operation mechanism of this battle space. Reality proved that he was right. The other party dropped many light element attribute bubbles. There was no need to talk about the spirit and enlightenment attributes. There was still a significant gap before he reached his breakthrough. There was an increase of 7,500 points of Constellation Light Force. Wang Ting's Constellation Light Force rose tremendously. Light Constellation Force, 520,000, Cosmos Stage 2nd level, it wasn't easy. After his Constellation Light Force advanced to the Cosmos stage, it had taken until now for any significant improvement. Previously, he had relied solely on his own cultivation, managing to barely increase his attribute values by 3,000 points. Now, with an additional 7,500 points, he finally broke through to the 2nd level of the Cosmos stage. His Constellation Light Force was no longer at the bottom. The Dark Force was occupying that position now. With an abundance of Constellation Forces, Wang Ting naturally prioritized the enhancement of whichever type he encountered first. The Light and Dark Forces were the rarest, so they naturally lagged behind. Aside from the Constellation Light Force, the Constellation Water Force also saw an increase. However, the 7,000 points weren't enough for Wang Ting to break through. He remained at the 5th level of the Cosmos stage. Constellation Water Force, 296,050,000, Cosmos stage 5th level. What truly caught Wang Ting's attention were the last two attribute bubbles. Light Domain, Holy Light Sword Scripture. The two attribute bubbles instantly transformed into insights that merged into his mind. Wang Ting had already comprehended the light domain, reaching the 3rd level. However, the light domain that Tai Beisho had comprehended seemed stronger than his own, providing him with considerable insights, despite already reaching the 3rd level. Light Domain, 2804,000, 4th rank. The increase of 3,000 attribute points elevated Wang Ting's comprehension of the light domain by a full level, advancing from the 3rd level to the 4th. His eyes constantly flickered with white radiance, as if his pupils concealed two white suns, radiating brilliance. Tai Beisho's domain ISNT just at the 4th rank. Wang Ting retracted his gaze and muttered to himself. His interest in Tai Beisho grew stronger. It was rare to encounter such a talented light element martial warrior, and Wang Ting couldn't resist the opportunity to gain some benefits. However, challenging Tai Beisho with his strength, wouldn't that be a bit too much like bullying? As he pondered, the insights from another attribute bubble also integrated into his mind, manifesting as a humanoid white light shadow. This light shadow was practicing a set of sword skills. Countless white sword lights swept through like rays of light. The speed was so swift that it blurred, emitting a tremendously formidable aura. At this moment, Wang Ting gained a bit of enlightenment. It turned out that light element sword skill could unleash such powerful might. In terms of speed and sharpness, the sword lights were no weaker than ordinary 5 elements attribute sword techniques. This style of sword skill possessed the sharpness of metal element techniques, even surpassing them. Moreover, its speed surpassed even wind element techniques. Wang Ting also felt that this sword skill was particularly effective against the power of darkness, making it a formidable weapon against dark apparitions. This light element sword skill seems extraordinary. Wang Teng's eyes shimmered as he absorbed the enlightenment of the Holy Light Sword Scripture. Holy Light Sword Scripture, Universe Stage 1500-5000, well-versed, with an increase of 4,500 attribute points. Wang Teng's mastery of this light element sword skill advanced from the foundation to the well-versed level. Now, he could effortlessly unleash this sword technique. However, being a universe stage battle technique, it came with a tremendous consumption of constellation force. Suddenly, Wang Teng remembered the light element sword technique, Holy Sword Slash, he had obtained from Biluo. Though it was only at the planetary stage, Biluo had used that technique to slay an emperor-level dark apparition. The Holy Sword Slash, from Wang Teng's current perspective, was a crude utilization of the constellation light force. It couldn't be compared to the Holy Light Sword Scripture he just acquired. On the other hand, Yu Qiqiao did not drop any domain attribute bubble. Her domain had been boosted by Wang Ting's assistance and naturally couldn't surpass his own. Yu Qiqiao and Tai Beishaw disappeared from the battle space. The ranking on the freshman leaderboard started changing too. When Ningfu's gaze was fixed on the freshman leaderboard, hands tightly gripping her sword. There was no change in Tai Beishaw's ranking. She was still no IO. Seeing this scene, a sneer curled up on Wen Ningfu's lips. "Mph, that wretch dared to challenge the 10th position. She's overestimating herself." However, her smile quickly froze as Yu Qiqiao's ranking appeared at the 13th position. The freshman leaderboard was based on combat power rankings. Even if one lost a match, as long as their combat power exceeded others, they could still rank high. Others could challenge those ranks if they disagreed. This mechanism allowed students to clearly understand their combat power and know whom to challenge, rather than aimlessly challenging formidable opponents, wasting their time. At this moment, Yu Qiqiao emerged from the battle space, glanced at the newcomer list, and shook her head. Only 13th place. How is that possible? When Ningfu found it difficult to accept. This was a sudden blow to her. She thought that elevating herself by 2 small realms would surely redeem her, only to discover that her opponent had improved even more, reaching the 13th place on the freshman leaderboard. She had no confidence in challenging this ranking. Tai Beishaw walked out of the freshman leaderboard and looked at Yu Qiqiao in admiration. "Your ability is not bad. You managed to force me to use 60% of my strength." 60%? Yu Qiqiao raised her eyebrows. There was astonishment in her eyes. Really? She didn't use her full strength. Wang Ting walked up from behind, saying casually, "Look at the wings on her back, aren't they beautiful?" Yu Qiqiao, "So what if they are beautiful?" However, a thought crossed her mind, and she understood something. The wings of the feather race are not just for show. However, during the previous battles, Tai Beishaw never used them. One think that must be because your strength wasn't enough to force her to unleash those wings. Wang Ting smiled at Tai Beishaw and continued, "And if my guess is correct, in terms of her domain, Tai Beishaw probably held back a bit. Her light domain is quite formidable. President Wang Ting has a keen eye." Tai Beishaw glanced at Wang Teng and said, "You're too kind. You're too kind." Wang Teng chuckled. "Is the Constellation Society still recruiting members?" Tai Beishaw suddenly asked. Chapter 21-28, What if one is a dragon and one is a tiger? 1. Yu Qiqiao was utterly stunned by Tai Beishaw's question. With just one sentence, this talented feather race member left her completely perplexed. This talent from the feather race expressed a desire to join their Constellation Society. What's the reason? Is it because Wang Ting is handsome? B0XO. Yu Qiqiao glanced at Wang Ting. She couldn't deny that he was quite handsome, not someone ordinary people could compare to. Even in a place like the stellar academies where talents congregated, she hadn't seen many of the same caliber. What was she thinking? The little person in Yu Qiqiao's mind shook its head frantically, tossing out this embarrassing notion. Wang Ting also showed a look of surprise in his eyes but quickly caught on, asking, "You want to join the Constellation Society? Is it not allowed?" Tai Beisha asked. "It is allowed. It is." Yu Qiqiao glanced at Wang Ting and curiously asked, "But why?" "I want to become stronger." Tai Beisha paused, straightforwardly expressing, "Yes, I want to become stronger quickly. I've seen your recent battle with that female warrior from the Qingyang Society. In just a few days, your strength has improved quite a bit." Saying this, she looked at Wang Ting. She knew that all these changes were likely caused by the president of this Constellation Society. In short, following this guy meant there was something good to gain. Yu Qiqiao suddenly realized that it wasn't because Wang Ting looked handsome. Well, that made sense. Such a genius wouldn't be so shallow. Tai Beisha was straightforward in her words, to the point that neither Wang Ting nor Yu Qiqiao felt any discomfort. Pursuing strength was everyone's right, and Tai Beisha being upfront about it was much better than those with hidden motives. However, Yu Qiqiao still mentioned, "It's not a problem for you to join the Constellation Society. But, we have a probationary period. During this period, you won't receive many benefits. You'll need to make sufficient contributions to have a chance at corresponding rewards. You see our progress, but you haven't seen what the other members of the Constellation Society have done for it." Tai Beisha nodded and said, "A probationary period? That's fine. You're just agreeing like that." Yu Qiqiao was momentarily stunned, surprised. "What else should I do?" Tai Beisha replied. "Ha ha ha, it's decided then." Wang Ting walked forward and stretched out his hand. "Welcome to the Constellation Society." "Thank you." Tai Beisha hesitated for a moment but still reached out her hand. Wang Ting only shook it briefly before letting go. Afterward, the group descended to the open space where the members of the Constellation Society were. Behind them, figures like Yu Yunxian and Borit, among others, were somewhat astonished. In just a short while, the Constellation Society had gained a new genius. Why did it seem so whimsical? Was this feather race talent serious? When Ningfu, not far away, also witnessed this scene and her expression became even more unpleasant. This genius, ranked 10th on the freshman leaderboard, actually joined the Constellation Society. Are you kidding me? Why would a talent join a mere freshman faction? For a genius capable of entering the top 10, shouldn't she be joining more powerful established factions? Tai Beisha's actions made when Ningfu feel like her own choice might indeed be wrong. There was no harm if there was no comparison. Although she had also improved her strength in the Qingyang Society, it felt more like the Qingyang Society exerting control over them as subordinates. This time, they failed to hinder the Constellation Society's genius, so they wouldn't be able to stay in the Qingyang Society anymore. However, the Qingyang Society wouldn't let them go easily as they had invested quite a bit of resources in them. Before squeezing out their remaining value, how could the Qingyang Society possibly let them off? Thinking about these things made Wen Ningfu's mood even more uncomfortable. Gaden and Qi Lianfeng felt the same way. What Wen Ningfu could think of, they naturally thought of too. However, they had already failed, with no way to overturn the situation. The strength of the Constellation Society's geniuses had improved significantly. They weren't their match. Sometimes, choices were crucial. And apparently, they seemed to have made the wrong one. On the flying ship of the Qingyang Society, Feng Qingyin's face was extremely gloomy. Everyone knew he and the Constellation Society were at odds, but even in such a situation, a genius still chose to join the Constellation Society. This was clearly not taking him seriously. It was releasing a message to the outside world that not all geniuses feared the Qingyang Society. The people from the Feiyun Alliance and the Witch Tower Alliance were here too. They were observing the freshman leaderboard from the sky. The freshman leaderboard had changed. Many factions would come to recruit talents. However, before they could make a move, a genius joined Wang Ting's Constellation Society. What's more, this one joined voluntarily, leaving them utterly frustrated. Ji Feiyun and Wu Ming were in communication, currently exchanging glances without saying a word. I swear, this Wang Ting is so lucky. Wu Ming couldn't help but curse. I noticed Tai Beishaw's potential before. She's definitely more than just the 10th place. She might even advance further. I sent someone to negotiate early, but she didn't agree. Now, she joined the Constellation Society, Ji Feiyun said with a bitter smile. If it were before, he definitely wouldn't have said this, but now that Tai Beishaw had joined the Constellation Society, there was no harm in revealing it. Damn, you noticed her early. Wu Ming suddenly doubted his discernment. Why did Ji Feiyun notice, but he didn't? He felt like a fool. Ha ha ha, Ji Feiyun couldn't help but burst into laughter. Chapter 21-29, What if one is a dragon and one is a tiger? 2. At the same time, the surrounding talented warriors were in an uproar. Tai Beishaw's reputation was not small. Being the 10th on the freshman leaderboard and possessing exquisite beauty, she was an extremely rare warrior from the feather race, radiating an extraordinary charm. Many speculated that she might even ascend to the universe goddess ranking in the future. And yet, such a talented female warrior voluntarily joined the Constellation Society. Was the Constellation Society so popular? Those who had left the Constellation Society were regretting more than ever, feeling like they had made a catastrophic mistake. Who could have imagined that the Constellation Society would suddenly rise like this? As for the members of the Constellation Society, their emotions were highly elevated due to Tai Beishaw's sudden joining. Tai Beishaw not only had formidable strength but also unparalleled beauty. Her joining meant they could be in close proximity to her. Long live the Constellation Society. Their president was awesome. Many Constellation Society members were excited, shouting loudly in their hearts. Wang Ting chuckled and shook his head at the excited male martial warriors around him. After Yu Chichiao made her move, figures like Yu Chichiao and Borit couldn't sit still. They headed towards the freshman leaderboard one after another. This scene immediately attracted many gazes. Since Yu Yunxian had shown his prowess, many knew he was formidable and likely to enter the top 10. As he challenged the freshman leaderboard, everyone wondered which rank he would choose. At this moment, a figure suddenly burst out of the crowd, transforming into a black streak of light and flying towards the freshman leaderboard. Lu Tian. It's Lu Tian. Yu Yunxian from the Constellation Society is challenging Lu Tian. A series of exclamations erupted, as everyone was taken aback by Yu Yunxian's boldness. He directly challenged Lu Tian, who was in the 3rd place. Mind you, he was outside the top 10 previously but decided to challenge the 3rd position. This was a significant leap. The geniuses of the Constellation Society were quite arrogant. Even more surprising was that Lu Tian agreed. Interesting. Wu Yang's eyes flashed with brilliance, his figure slightly moving as he entered the freshman leaderboard. He wanted to witness this battle. Feng Mo and Reynolds also entered the observation space. This battle was the most anticipated match of the day and a true top 10 showdown. They were all interested. Especially those who wanted to challenge Lu Tian and vie for the 2nd position couldn't miss his battle. Wang Ting's gaze flickered, and he once again entered the freshman leaderboard to observe. He also wanted to see how far this crown prince had progressed. In the battle space, Yu Yunxian and Lu Tian were both silent types. There wasn't any idle talk. They directly began their battle. Boom, boom, boom. Countless sword lights swept across the sky in the battle space, creating a spectacular scene. They were like 2 torrents of sword lights, immensely grand. Both of them were genius martial warriors specializing in sword techniques. One wielded the sword of slaughter. The other, a majestic and domineering sword. The battle between these 2 martial prodigies was much more thrilling than the previous confrontation between Yu Chichiao and Tai Beishaw. So powerful. Tai Beishaw also entered the observation space. Seeing the battle between the 2, her eyes revealed astonishment, and her expression gradually turned serious. She had witnessed Yu Yunxian's battle, but she hadn't expected the opponent's swordsmanship to be so formidable, able to contend head-on with the 3rd-ranked Lu Tian. She was originally very confident in her own light element sword technique, but witnessing the exchange between the two, her heart was filled with a sense of gravity. However, one thing she believed she did right was join the Constellation Society. The fact that such talents were hidden within the organization indicated that this newly formed faction of students was not as simple as it seemed. She wondered how strong Wang Teng, the president, really was. Tai Beishaw tilted her head slightly, glanced at Wang Teng, who was calmly watching the match. She was unable to discern anything from his expression. Lu Tian is about to lose. Wang Teng suddenly spoke, calmly stating the situation. Lu Tian is about to lose. Tai Beishaw, Yu Chiqiao, and the others were slightly surprised. They quickly turned their attention to the battle space. Boom! The sword in Lu Tian's hand suddenly burst into a pitch-black sword light, emanating a pervasive intent of bloodlust that filled the heavens and the earth. Even though Wang Teng and the others were in a different space, it seemed as if they could feel the overwhelming intent of bloodlust approaching. It was a purely intense killing intent. In an instant, it seemed as if countless cries of slaughter echoed in their ears, unsettling their minds. Lu Tian seemed to meld entirely into that sword, transforming into a sword of bloodlust, charging fiercely toward Yu Yunxian. Unity of man and sword. When he clashed with Wang Teng before, Lu Tian had already mastered the unity of man and sword. Now, facing Yu Yunxian, he did not hold back and once again employed this technique. Moreover, judging from the terrifying momentum, Lu Tian's mastery of the unity of man and sword had improved. It was no wonder. As someone who was able to reach the third position in the freshman leaderboard, how could he be stagnating? Yu Chiqiao, Tai Beishaw, and the others were flabbergasted. They stared at the sword in horror. This was horrifying. The immensely powerful sword light and the overwhelming sword intent made people feel an irresistible sense of oppression. How could Lu Tian, who was this powerful, lose? What was Wang Teng thinking? However, in the face of such a sword, Yu Yunxian remained unperturbed. The sword in his hand also erupted with a brilliant golden light, and his entire being became incredibly sharp, exuding an imposing and majestic sword intent. At this moment, he seemed to transform into a sword. Unity of man and sword. It was also the unity of man and sword moreover, the sword conscious of the two seemed remarkably close, making it challenging for outsiders to discern the disparity in their swordsmanship realms. Boom! In the next moment, Yu Yunxian made his move. Similarly, transforming into a streak of sword light, he slashed forward, and a golden sword light swept across. In the combat space, the sword lights collided with a thunderous crash, and countless fragmented sword rays scattered in all directions. Crack! A series of cracking sounds suddenly rang out, and cracks appeared on the black sword of bloodlust. Boom! In an instant, the sword light shattered, and a figure was sent flying. It was Lu Tian. You lost. Yu Chiqiao and the others were stunned. They turned to look at Wang Teng. He was right. Lu Tian lost. The onlookers were in an uproar. The third-ranked Lu Tian was defeated by a martial warrior who was ranked beyond the top 10. How was this possible? Wu Yang, Feng Mo, and the others also showed some surprise, and then their eyes revealed a sense of curiosity. Yu Yunxian was so powerful, originally considering Lu Tian as their opponent. They never expected Yu Yunxian to emerge suddenly, completely disrupting their plans. Moreover, Yu Yunxian was a member of the Constellation Society. Didn't that indicate that the Constellation Society had two top 3 potential geniuses? Adding in Tai Beishaw, a talent with top 10 potential, the Constellation Society seemed a bit terrifying now. Many people outside also witnessed the changes on the freshman leaderboard. Yu Yunxian's name replaced Lu Tian, appearing in the 3rd position, while Lu Tian dropped to the 4th. Everyone was shocked, finding it hard to believe the outcome. How did this happen? How could Yu Yunxian be so powerful? The martial warriors from the Great Qian Empire, after their initial astonishment, felt it was only natural. Crown Prince. This was the Crown Prince of the Great Qian Empire, second only to Wang Ting in the League of Talents. It could be said that if it weren't for Wang Ting's sudden rise, the Crown Prince would have been the most dazzling genius martial warrior of their Great Qian Empire. Although he ultimately lost to Wang Teng, it didn't mean he was inferior to other geniuses. Now the reality proved that the Crown Prince was an extremely outstanding figure in the stellar academies. The geniuses from other territories might not be his match. In an instant, all the genius warriors from the great Qian Empire were excited, erupting into cheers. Ha ha ha, as expected of the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince is amazing, seizing the third position on the freshman leaderboard. In the future, who would dare to underestimate the martial warriors of our great Qian Empire? Yu Yunxian is the Crown Prince of the great Qian Empire. Many people were astounded. Yu Yunxian rarely appeared in public and was always overshadowed by Wang Teng. Hence, few people noticed the existence of this genius. Nobody would have thought he was the Crown Prince of the great Qian Empire. As the Crown Prince, someone with such a noble status, how could he bow down to others? This was almost a consensus among everyone. However, in the great Qian Empire, there was indeed such an extraordinary case. There's a saying, there's no room for two tigers on one mountain. But what if one is a dragon and the other a tiger? Chapter 21:30. The people below are too outstanding. As the president, he can't do anything. Yu Yunxian's ascent to the third position on the freshman leaderboard ignited the atmosphere among all the freshmen. Ji Feiyun and Wu Ming were flabbergasted too. That was the third place on the freshman leaderboard. He was a powerful figure, but he was in the Constellation Society. They had overlooked the existence of this genius. Feng Qingyang and Ruan Banlian's expressions were extremely gloomy. The stronger the Constellation Society, the worse their mood became. Moreover, now there was an outstanding talent, not just an ordinary genius warrior but the third ranked on the freshman leaderboard. I didn't expect Yu Yunxian's strength to be so formidable, Ruan Banlian said. A single Constellation Society, gathering two geniuses with top 3 potential. This has never happened before, Feng Qingyang said. Why would a genius with top 3 potential follow Wang Teng? Ruan Banlian's eyes suddenly flashed, and she said, "Can't we try to bring him over? What you said is not impossible. One mountain can't accommodate 2 tigers." According to what they said, this person is the Crown Prince of the great Qian Empire. He lost to Wang Teng in the League of Talents, and he might not be willing to be subordinate to Wang Teng, Feng Qingyang said thoughtfully. I will immediately send someone to make contact. No, I'll go personally, Ruan Banlian said. Feng Qingyang nodded and kept quiet. His gaze kept flickering. No one knew what he was thinking. In the observation space, the figures of Yu Yunxian and Lu Tian successively disappeared. Wang Ting immediately picked up the attribute bubbles that fell from the two. Cosmos Realm Spirit * 1600 Universe Realm Enlightenment * 2300 Metal Constellation Force * 10800 The 12 Swords of Tyrant, First Sword, * 4000 The 12 Swords of Tyrant, Second Sword, * 5500 The 12 Swords of Tyrant, Third Sword, * 6000 Unity of Man and Sword * 1300 Cosmos Realm Spirit * 1500 Universe Realm Enlightenment * 2100 Earth Constellation Force * 12,000 Bloodlust Sword Domain * 1500 Origin of Slaughter * 600 God Slayer First Stance * 3000 Unity of Man and Sword * 1000 The attribute bubbles flew towards Wang Teng's body and merged into his body and mind. Wang Ting's spirit and enlightenment rose again. At the same time, 2 different constellation forces circulated in his body and merged into his inner cosmos. Constellation Metal Force, Constellation Earth Force. One belonged to Yu Yunxian while the other belonged to Lu Tian. Both their force cultivation wasn't low, so they dropped many attributes. Wang Teng was lucky. Constellation Metal Force, 3210060000, Cosmos Stage 6th level, Constellation Earth Force, 3420050000, Cosmos Stage 5th level. Yu Yunxian possessed more than just the metal force. He was a 3-element martial warrior, also having water and fire forces. However, those 2 forces were not as strong and didn't play a significant role in the battle against Lu Tian, so he didn't use them. Yu Yunxian's metal force was the strongest. Her domain and origin far surpassed the other attributes. Combined with his 12 swords of Tyrant, its power was overwhelmingly formidable. Not everyone could balance their development like Wang Ting. Yu Yunxian had only been at the Stellar Academy for half a year, and being able to enhance one force was already quite impressive. He probably wouldn't abandon the other two forces, but he would likely focus on them later. This was a very wise choice. Most genius warriors followed a similar approach. Only Wang Ting was somewhat unique, relying on picking up attributes, as was the case now. As the forces were absorbed, bubbles of attribute insights were assimilated into Wang Ting's mind, forming a strange scene. In that scene, 3 humanoid figures simultaneously appeared, each wielding a sword and practicing a sword technique. The sword techniques practiced by the 3 humanoid figures were different, but there seemed to be a certain connection, a common thread. A hint of enlightenment appeared in Wang Ting's eyes. This was none other than the initial 3 swords of the 12 swords of Tyrant. Wang Ting had already mastered these 3 swords, but his proficiency was still lacking, especially for the last 2 swords, which he had barely reached the foundation stage. The 3 swords displayed by Yu Yunxian this time were evidently more powerful than during the League of Talents. Therefore, for Wang Ting, it was an opportunity to increase his proficiency significantly. The 12 swords of Tyrant, first sword 1,050,000, specialized, the 12 swords of Tyrant, second sword 550,000, specialized, the 12 swords of Tyrant, third sword 8,810,000, foundation. The proficiency of the second sword had reached the specialized level, elevating Wang Ting's understanding of the second sword significantly. He felt a much deeper connection with the second sword technique. Although the third sword had also improved, it was still at the foundation stage, needing a bit more to advance to the specialized level. Following this, the 3 humanoid figures vanished and reassembled into another figure, wielding a sword again. This time, it practiced a different sword technique. However, this sword technique was entirely distinct, filled with murderous intent, each move lethal and terrifying to the extreme. Facing such a sword technique, one could only have one thought in mind: death. If the 12 swords of Tyrant conveyed a sense of imperial dominance and majesty, this new sword technique invoked nothing but boundless killing intent. Fortunately, this sword technique was now mastered by Wang Ting. He was the executor, the one who wielded this sword of slaughter. Godslayer first stance, 3,000 10,000, foundation, Godslayer. Wang Ting's eyes lit up. He was elated. Another divine-level sword technique. Damn, these geniuses all possess divine-level legacies. It's almost too extravagant. In the previous encounter with Lu Tian, he had used this particular sword technique. Wang Ting had been extremely envious at the time, but unfortunately, there were no attribute bubbles dropped. This time, however, his wish was granted. However, this was only the first move. It wasn't as good as the 12 swords of Tyrant. At least he had 3 moves. This Lu Tian wasn't that generous. Wang Ting shook his head, then smiled contentedly. He would slowly reap the benefits of the other sword techniques later. After all, the person was right there and couldn't run away. At the same time, the insights from the other 2 segments merged into Wang Ting's mind. Bloodlust Sword Domain, 1904,000, 4th rank, Origin of Slaughter, 98010,000, 1st rank. Wang Ting could feel that Lu Tian's enlightenment of the Bloodlust Sword Domain and the Origin of Slaughter had increased greatly. These 2 enlightenments were of great help to him. On the other hand, Yu Yunxian didn't drop any attribute bubbles because Wang Ting's Metal Domain and Metal Origin advanced faster than his. He hadn't caught up yet, and there were no corresponding attribute bubbles dropped. The last attribute bubble was the Unity of Man and Sword Enlightenment. Both Lu Tian and Yu Yunxian had insights into it, but Yu Yunxian's Unity of Man and Sword was slightly stronger. That's why he emerged victorious in the end. The insights into the unity of man and sword were undoubtedly profound and powerful. Wang Ting had only grasped a little of it for now. After absorbing the insights from both of them, his unity of man and sword improved significantly. Unity of man and sword, 9500 100000. Looking at the attribute values, Wang Ting's mastery of the unity of man and sword had probably reached about 1/10 of the entire spectrum. Even so, Wang Ting felt the immense power of this realm. He even believed that his understanding of the unity of man and sword had surpassed that of Lu Tian and Yu Yunxian. Since their insights were somewhat different, Wang Ting could use both of their insights to elevate his mastery of the unity of man and sword. He couldn't help but wonder what kind of power he would unleash if he could elevate the unity of man and sword to the perfected stage. Splitting the heavens with one sword. Wang Ting couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. He realized he might be thinking too much. Anyway, the attribute bubbles from these two are quite good. Wang Ting mused while exiting the observation space, absent-mindedly stroking his chin as he looked at Lu Tian and Yu Yunxian. To him, Lu Tian was a slaughter attribute ATM while Yu Yunxian was a tyrant attribute ATM. He had to nurture these two well to provide him with more attribute bubbles in the future. On the other side, as Lu Tian and Yu Yunxian just left the combat space, they suddenly felt a chill, as if something strange was staring at them. They couldn't help but turn to look around, only to find Wang Ting looking at them. His gaze seemed a bit peculiar. What was this guy thinking? The two exchanged a glance, both having the same inexplicable thought. Lu Tian, your strength has improved quite a bit lately. Wang Ting walked over, smiling. Lu Tian didn't have patience for Wang Ting. After being thoroughly defeated by him last time and still not having recovered, now he was defeated by his subordinate again. His heart was filled with frustration. Wang Ting didn't mind. How about we spar again next time? We'll see. Lu Tian replied coldly and turned away, flying off. He was unwilling to engage with Wang Ting and looked as if he was trying to escape. Yu Yunxian's expression was a bit strange. In this half a year, Yunxian's might has also improved a lot. Truly worthy of being the crown prince from the great Qian Empire, Wang Ting looked at Yu Yunxian again, praising. I can't figure you out, Yu Yunxian said. Why bother figuring me out? I'm not a beauty. If you want to figure someone out, it should be a beauty, Wang Ting uttered with a grin. Yu Yunxian, Yu Qiqiao and Tai Beisha were speechless too. Their president was a little unreliable sometimes. On the Constellation Society's side, only Borit hadn't acted. Borit was quite low-key, and he hadn't even fought any duels. If he weren't a treant, many people wouldn't have noticed him. It's my turn. At this moment, Borit smiled and walked towards the freshman leaderboard. Seeing this scene, everyone was slightly stunned, then couldn't help but start discussing. A treant. I've noticed the Constellation Society from the Constellation Society for a long time, but he has never acted. I wonder how powerful he is. He is the last one to make a move besides Wang Ting. Is he their trump card? All eyes were focused on Borit, and many people shadowed into the freshman leaderboard, preparing to watch this match. Wang Ting was also curious about Borit's strength, so he shadowed along. However, with 3 rounds in and out, it was already quite troublesome. The freshman leaderboard is not user-friendly at all. Every time you have to come out and go in again. Does it like being entered and exited so much? Wang Ting uttered with a sigh. Freshman leaderboard, what did you say? Yu Qiqiao, what do you mean by entering and exiting? What kind of description was that? Unexpectedly, Borit also challenged the top 10 warriors, and he chose the 7th. Many people were shocked. Was the Constellation Society going to produce another top 10 genius? A faction that monopolized 4 of the top 10, was there any room for others to survive? Wang Ting also sensed helpless. The people below were too outstanding. As the president, he couldn't do anything about it. Chapter 2131, Baichuan Race. Borit waited quietly in the battle space. Before long, a figure emerged, a human warrior with long black hair draped over his shoulders, handsome in appearance. His presence immediately caught the attention of many female warriors. 7th place, Baichuan Liu. This Baichuan Liu is quite handsome, Yu Qiqiao said. Tai Beisha glanced at Baichuan Liu with a calm expression. Compared to being handsome, she was more concerned about his ability. Not bad, just 4 or 5 points less handsome than our president. Wade, standing nearby, gave a serious evaluation. Yu Qiqiao, Wang Ting patted Wade's shoulder with satisfaction, making Wade burst into a smile. In the arena, Borit and Baichuan Liu observed each other silently, both secretly assessing their opponent. Borit didn't have much fame, but Baichuan Liu still accepted his challenge because he knew that this was a martial warrior from the Constellation Society. Nowadays, no one was unfamiliar with the Constellation Society. Among the new students, the reputation of the Constellation Society was growing. Even the top 10 geniuses were becoming more aware of it. They couldn't help but pay attention to this new student faction. To be able to form a faction with new students and reach this stage was astonishing for the talents. After all, they could hardly achieve such a feat. Of course, Borit's Treant identity was also one of the reasons why Baichuan Liu agreed to fight with him. The Treant race was a rare and unique race in the universe. They possessed extraordinary abilities that were not to be underestimated. The Constellation Society surprised me, Baichuan Liu said. It's all thanks to our president. Borit scratched his tree-crowned head, saying, "Let's get started." "I hope you won't disappoint me," Baichuan Liu nodded, saying, "Be careful then." Borit reminded with a serious expression, his usually gentle demeanor turning stern. His gaze sharpened, and the force surged within him. Baichuan Liu, who had a relaxed expression moments ago, now wore a look of surprise and seriousness. This Treant's strength seems quite formidable. Without further thought, the battle began. Boom! The next moment, a loud roar erupted, and the ground shattered. Sturdy vines surged forth, sweeping towards Baichuan Liu. After the two entered the combat space, they had chosen a battlefield. It was a dense jungle. This was the battlefield chosen by Borit, and Baichuan Liu had no objections, as it made no difference to him. In reality, this environment didn't offer much advantage. With Borit's talents, he could generate countless plant forms even in a desert. It just made him feel more comfortable and familiar. Baichuan Liu's expression remained unchanged. In an instant, he made the optimal choice and charged upward. Vines had their limits, and unless the opponent used more wood force to support them, they couldn't reach high altitudes. Upon realizing his opponent was a Treant, he had already been on guard against this move. However, Borit, upon seeing this scene, just smiled faintly. Suddenly, the vines broke apart, transforming into spears that shot toward Baichuan Liu in the sky. As these wooden spears were launched, crimson patterns lit up on their surfaces, turning into the power of flames. Those wooden spears instantly became spears of fire, sealing off Baichuan Liu's surroundings. Boom! 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 The roaring sound reverberated in the air, creating a formidable momentum. This attack brought a hint of surprise to Baichuan Liu's eyes, finally dispelling the last trace of disdain in his heart. A war blade appeared in his hand, and a powerful blade domain unfolded, transforming into countless blade rays swirling around him. In an instant, the attacks of the two collided. In the spectator space on the other side, many people wore expressions of astonishment. This Treant was incredibly strong, forcing Baichuan Liu to resort to the power of his domain. Baichuan Liu? That's a rare surname. Wang Teng watched the match and stroked his chin, saying, "Have you not heard of the Baichuan family?" Yu Chiqiao was surprised. The Baichuan family? Wang Teng glanced at her and asked, "Is this family famous?" In the territorial domains of the human race, there's a territorial domain called Baichuan domain, named after the Baichuan family, Yu Chiqiao explained. A territorial domain named after a family? Isn't that similar to the solar dragon race? Wang Teng exclaimed. Yes, the influence of the Baichuan family is not much inferior to the solar dragon race. Yu Chiqiao nodded with a serious expression. Impressive. The Baichuan family must have some special talent, Wang Teng said. For a family to rise and stand tall, it relied on a continuous stream of strong individuals. And for a family to continually produce strong individuals, it had to be due to innate talents. The Baichuan family possesses a physique called the Baichuan divine physique. This statement did not come from Yu Chiqiao but from Round Ball. Baichuan divine physique. Wang Teng couldn't help muttering to himself. Being named after a divine physique, this constitution was certainly not simple. Before he could ask, Round Ball continued, The Baichuan divine physique is a water element constitution. It can transform water energy into multiple avatars, and these avatars can store force regularly, maintaining the same force level as the original self. Once these avatars are used in battle, even if they can't fully unleash the original self's strength, they can at least wield 80 to 90%. It's like having several of yourself fighting simultaneously. And these innate avatars can be controlled seamlessly, without any hindrance. Think about it, if these avatars cooperate, what kind of scene would it be? Damn. This is like cheating. Wang Ting was half shocked and half speechless. Originally, he was very confident in his clone technique after his own modifications. However, now that he learned about the Baichuan divine physique, all his confidence was gone. Relying solely on a physique, one could have avatars with 80 to 90% of their strength. What else could it be if not cheating? His clone technique was transformed through the darkness clone technique, and it required the use of multiple elemental forces and the origins to unleash powerful strength. Moreover, one needed a sufficiently strong spiritual power, or else they couldn't control so many clones at once. In other words, only he could use his clone technique, and others couldn't learn it at all. This proved how difficult it was to cultivate this method. Moreover, as his strength increased, Wang Ting found it increasingly challenging to create clones that matched his main body's strength. His force, power of origin, mental force, and more all had to keep up. Even so, he couldn't create clones with 100% of his main body's strength. On the other hand, the Baichuan divine physique only required one type of water force. He just needed to store his force properly. It was extremely convenient. Wang Ting was feeling a bit envious. This kind of physique was just too advantageous. You have the nerve to say they are cheating? Round Ball said in a speechless tone. Why can't I say it? They are cheating, and it's an entire family. Wang Ting replied. Round Ball rolled its eyes and continued to explain. In addition, the Baichuan divine physique provides great assistance in cultivating water force. Whether it's absorbing water force in normal times or later comprehending domains, origins, and so on, it far surpasses ordinary water element martial warrior. That's why the Baichuan family can thrive continuously and stand unyielding in the Baichuan territorial domain. With such a physique, it's difficult to decline even if they want to. Wang Ting sighed. Then his eyes quietly lit up. It was time to take advantage again. The Stellar Academies truly lived up to its reputation. Various geniuses continued to emerge, and there seemed to be no end to the opportunities for him to take advantage of. In any case, this Baichuan divine physique must be exploited. If Borit and the opponent's battle didn't drop the corresponding attribute bubbles, he would have to take matters into his own hands. Boom. In the combat space, the battle between the two intensified. Borit's strength proved to be extremely formidable, leaving many people astounded. However, Baichuan Liu wasn't weak either. His mastery of water force was extremely skillful, both in martial techniques and domain, showcasing great power. As the clashes continued, Borit's expression became increasingly serious. Eventually, he stopped holding back and unleashed the lightning force he hadn't used before. Without a doubt, he was a triple-element martial warrior. Wood, fire, and lightning. Wang Ting had already deduced his force attributes the first time he saw him, so this revelation wasn't surprising to him. However, others were astonished. A Treant warrior having fire force was already surprising enough, but possessing a special attribute lightning element was even more unexpected. No wonder he dared to challenge the seventh on the list. The power of the lightning element spoke for itself. Having lightning force made one a genius. Moreover, it seemed that this Treant warrior's proficiency in lightning element cultivation was not much weaker than his proficiency in the other two elements, which was truly remarkable. Boom. Countless vines intertwined in the sky, forming a large net with flickering lightning on top, enveloping Baichuan Liu. At the same time, lightning gathered in the sky, transforming into thunderous spears that rushed toward Baichuan Liu. The large net sealed off Baichuan Liu's surroundings, and the lightning spears attacked relentlessly, leaving him with almost no room to evade. It seems I can't hold back anymore. Baichuan Liu shook his head helplessly. Originally, he intended to go easy, but the opponent's strength exceeded his expectations, forcing him to use his full power. Suddenly, his body blurred, and 3 blue lights flashed out from within him, forming 3 identical avatars. These avatars were indistinguishable from his original self. Everyone widened their eyes in surprise when they saw this scene. Not everyone was aware of the Baichuan family's existence, and many had no idea about Baichuan Liu's talent for creating avatars. Because in previous battles, he had never used this ability. Boom! Baichuan Liu, along with his 3 avatars and his original self, charged out in an instant. His war blade was swung almost simultaneously, reaching toward the sky to confront the lightning net. This move is quite powerful. Wang Ting seemed to have noticed something, a glint suddenly appearing in his eyes. He shook his head and said, "It looks like Borit is a step behind. Borit is going to lose." Yu Qiqiao and the others couldn't help but frown at Wang Ting's words. They couldn't afford not to believe Wang Ting's judgment, as he had proven his discernment in the previous battles between Lu Tian and Yu Yunxian. A thunderous roar echoed, and to the shock of everyone, the 4-blade rays, unleashed by both the avatars and the original self, merged into one, exploding with tremendous power and tearing apart the lightning net. Borit was also within the attack range of the blade rays, unable to dodge in time. He was directly torn apart by the blade rays and disappeared from the combat space, defeated. The crowd fell into astonishment. Powerful. It was incredibly strong. That single slash could combine the power of 4 blades, effectively quadrupling its impact. Who could withstand such an attack? Wow, what was that technique just now? Wade asked in bewilderment. This should be a combined battle technique. Yu Qiqiao explained, the Baichuan family possesses the talent of creating avatars, so they naturally developed techniques that can leverage this innate ability. Is this a battle technique created by the Baichuan family? Wang Ting asked curiously. There are rumors that the Baichuan family has such a combined battle technique. This is the first time I've seen it today, Yu Qiqiao replied. Interesting. Wang Ting's interest in the Baichuan family's talents grew. At this moment, Baichuan Liu's 3 avatars suddenly turned into 3 blue lights, merging back into the original self. This scene further astonished Wang Ting. The next moment, Baichuan Liu's original self also disappeared from the combat space. Wang Ting couldn't wait any longer. He immediately swept his spiritual power out and collected the attribute bubbles dropped by the 2 fighters in the combat space. As the attribute bubbles surged in, Wang Ting's heart was filled with joy and excitement. Huge gain. Chapter 2132, Spiritual Wood Divine Physique. Baichuan Divine Physique. Whose Wang Ting, Borit and Baichuan Liu dropped a lot of attribute bubbles. When they merged into Wang Ting's body, he was overwhelmed. Cosmos Realm Spirit *20 Universe Realm Enlightenment *26 Wood Constellation Force *80 Constellation Force, Fire, *8500 Lightning Constellation Force *75 Wood Spirit Physique *1000 Divine Level Fire Talent *300 Divine Level Lightning Talent *280 Lightning Domain *3500 Wood Flame Spear *4 Lightning Wood Spear *50 Borit alone provided Wang Ting with so many attribute bubbles. Wang Ting was dumbfounded. After searching for a long time, the biggest attribute ATM was beside him. He wanted to get attributes from Borit, but he didn't expect him to provide so many. Spirit, 832002000000, Cosmos Realm, Enlightenment, 241300300000, Universe Realm. Wang Ting glanced at his spirit and enlightenment attributes. The attribute bubbles dropped by the talents recently allowed these 2 attributes to rise greatly. Constellation Wood Force, 3470040000, Cosmos Stage 4th Level, Constellation Fire Force, 1060060000, Cosmos Stage 6th Level, Constellation Lightning Force, 1310030000, Cosmos Stage 3rd Level. His 3 forces rose too, especially his lightning force. It used to be at the 3rd level of the Cosmos Realm. It finally rose a little. Wang Teng felt that he should find a few more lightning element martial warriors and get some attributes from them. There were a few lightning element martial warriors in the top 10. Then, there were a few talent attributes. The first one surprised Wang Ting: Wood Spirit Physique. This was a special physique. As the attribute bubbles merged into his body, Wang Ting immediately gained some insight into this physique. The Treant race naturally possessed the innate ability called the Wood Spirit Physique, which allowed them to harmonize with plant life. Wang Ting thought of the second Wood Spirit body he had recently acquired, and there were indeed some similarities between the two. However, there were still differences. The second Wood Spirit body was a special constitution that could forcibly control plant life, relatively domineering and rough. On the other hand, the Wood Spirit Physique was different. The Wood Spirit Physique was an innate physique of the Treant race, and if one had to force a comparison, Treant could be considered a kind of plant life. Therefore, their approach to plant life wouldn't be as domineering, and this physique was more like a talent for harmonizing with plants. In simple terms, the Wood Spirit Physique was an ability to borrow from the power of plant life through communication and coordination. Furthermore, after borrowing, the power would be returned. It wasn't a one-sided borrowing. In essence, the two were different. After acquiring this physique, Wang Ting's body underwent a transformation. Suddenly, on his body, emerald green patterns appeared, resembling the veins of a plant, and seemed quite mysterious. Fortunately, this change was fleeting, and Wang Ting quickly suppressed it, preventing the patterns from spreading beyond the exposed skin. Otherwise, people around him might have immediately noticed this anomaly. He didn't want to spend time explaining things to others. Wood Spirit Physique, 1000 10,000, first rank. Wang Teng glanced at the attributes board and was stunned. He saw a few familiar words appearing behind Wood Spirit Physique and second Wood Spirit Body. They could be merged. Wood Spirit Physique and second Wood Spirit Body could merge. Wang Teng was surprised. Even though he found the two physiques extremely similar, he hadn't expected them to be able to merge. Without much hesitation, he immediately chose to merge them. According to his past experiences, after merging, the abilities of both physiques would be retained and even optimized. So, there was nothing to worry about. As Wang Teng's thoughts moved, the two physiques began to merge. Second Wood Spirit Body plus Wood Spirit Physique equals Spiritual Wood Divine Physique Spiritual Wood Divine Physique. Wang Teng's gaze turned strange. He closed his eyes and sensed his surroundings. Gradually, he had a slight understanding of the Spiritual Wood Divine Physique. The Spiritual Wood Divine Physique combined the abilities of both physiques and even added an incredibly heaven-defying ability, borrowing the life force of plant. In other words, when on the brink of death, as long as one possessed the Spiritual Wood Divine Physique, they could borrow the life force of plants to sustain their life. In critical moments, this ability was akin to having a second life. Of course, this borrowing had many limitations. The life force borrowed from each plant was extremely limited and couldn't affect its normal survival. In other words, it was necessary to be in a place where plant life was flourishing to absorb enough life force to preserve one's life. Otherwise, even if one had this ability, it would be in vain. Even so, the physique obtained after the merge was already very powerful. Wang Teng felt pleasantly surprised. This was good stuff. Whether or not it would come in handy, having this physique meant having an extra layer of life protection. Why not? Next were the two divine level talents. Divine level fire talent, 15400 50,000. Divine level lightning talent, 8,000 50,000. After receiving the Spiritual Wood Divine Physique, the surprises from these two divine level talents weren't as great. But, it was not bad. At least they rose a little. Then, there were 3,500 points of lightning domain. Borit had more than one domain, but besides the lightning domain, his fire and wood domains were useless to Wang Teng. Lightning domain, 24,55,000, 5th rank. Wang Teng's lightning domain was at the 4th rank, but it jumped to the 5th rank. It jumped an entire rank. Borit's understanding of the lightning domain was quite impressive, apparently reaching the 5th rank. Otherwise, he wouldn't have challenged the 7th-ranked talent on the freshman leaderboard. Unfortunately, he encountered a genius from the Baichuan family, whose talents were exceptionally strong, ultimately leading to Borit's regrettable defeat. Wang Ting shook his head, expressing some regret for Borit. However, he didn't dwell on it and turned his attention to the remaining 2 attribute bubbles. Wood Flame Spear. Lightning Wood Spear. These were 2 hybrid attribute battle techniques. One combined the wood and fire elements, while the other merged the lightning and wood elements. When Borit executed these techniques earlier, Wang Ting had already witnessed their power, which was quite impressive. He liked them quite a bit. Now, both techniques were in his possession. In his mind, 2 humanoid silhouettes appeared, demonstrating the methods of executing these 2 techniques, and then integrated into his memory. To be able to merge the relatively weaker wood element with the scorching power of fire and the domineering power of lightning, this combat technique is quite interesting. Wang Ting's eyes gleamed with brilliance as he thought to himself. Wood Flame Spear, Universe Stage Peak 1000-5000, Specialized, Lightning Wood Spear, Universe Stage Peak 2000-5000, Specialized. Both battle techniques were at the peak of the Universe Stage, surprising Wang Ting. This was a high level. The Lightning Battle Spear he received in the past was at the Eternal Stage. These 2 battle techniques were just a step away from reaching the Eternal Stage. At the same time, Wang Ting's mastery of these 2 battle techniques had directly skipped the foundation level, reaching the specialized stage. Wang Ting took a glance and didn't think much more about it. Having more combat techniques was better than having fewer. Next was Baichuan Liu's attribute bubbles. Wang Ting was very envious of the Baichuan family's divine physique and the combined battle technique. Now, he controlled his excitement and rubbed his hands together, feeling as if he were about to win a lottery. Soon after, several attribute bubbles merged into his body. Cosmos Realm Spirit * 2200 Universe Realm Enlightenment * 3200 Water Constellation Force * IO20 Baichuan Divine Physique * IO9 Essence Baichuan Blade Skill * I50 Baichuan Liu's attribute bubbles were not as numerous as Borit's, but after Wang Ting absorbed them, he felt a surge of joy. He even had the urge to burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, it's the Baichuan Divine Physique. Wang Ting's mouth crazily lifted into a smile. He could only laugh heartily in his mind to express the joy he felt. Baichuan Divine Physique, 1000-10,000, first rank. Although the attributes of the Baichuan Divine Physique were only at 1000 points, barely reaching the first rank, and weren't as powerful as the Baichuan Divine Physique Baichuan Liu possessed. However, Wang Ting had acquired this physique, and he could gradually improve it in the future. There was no rush. If Baichuan Liu knew that his family's physique had been stolen by Wang Ting, he would probably explode on the spot. Of course, he probably wouldn't even imagine such a crazy thing. The fact that the family's innate physique could be obtained by others, what kind of thing was that? Apart from this physique, what Wang Ting was most interested in was the combined attack technique, the 9-essence Baichuan blade skill. As the attribute bubbles merged, a humanoid light shadow appeared in Wang Ting's mind, beginning to practice an extremely profound blade technique. The light shadow held a war blade, and blue blade radiance was slashed out, unparalleled in power. In the end, the light shadow split into 9 parts, each one slashing with a blade. Then, the 9-blade radiance merged into one, forming a terrifying blade radiance. So that's how it is. A stunning blue blade radiance flashed in Wang Ting's eyes, and he understood in his heart. The 9-essence Baichuan blade skill can integrate the blade radiance of the 9 avatars. The more avatars you have, the more powerful it will be. This blade skill is interesting. This blade skill had reached the eternal stage. Also, it was a combined battle technique, so it had to be used in conjunction with the Baichuan divine physique to unleash its power. After being cast, its power surpassed ordinary eternal stage techniques. Otherwise, after Borit displayed the lightning wood spear, a peak universe stage technique, he would not have been able to win. 9-essence Baichuan blade skill, eternal stage 1500-5000, foundation. The foundation requires 5000 attribute points. It looks like this battle technique isn't easy to grasp. Wang Ting thought to himself. Now that his mastery of this technique had only reached the foundation level, he definitely couldn't achieve the combination of 4 blades into one like Baichuan Liu. He could only continue to farm attribute bubbles. Baichuan Liu was a fat sheep. He mustn't let him go. The remaining attributes were force, spirit, and enlightenment. Wang Teng couldn't achieve a breakthrough, so he ignored them and left the battle space. Outside, the rankings of the freshman leaderboard changed again. Baichuan Liu unexpectedly advanced by one position, displacing the previous 5th position. Borit became the new 7th. This result surprised everyone. Obviously, Borit lost, but his ranking was not low. He directly reached the 7th position. At this point, the Constellation Society already had 3 geniuses in the top 10 of the freshman leaderboard. Many people were shocked, and they all looked towards Wang Teng. Yu Qiqiao, Borit, Yu Yunxian, and the others looked at Wang Ting too. They all wanted to know how strong Wang Ting had become and whether he could once again become the first on the freshman leaderboard. Now that everyone has finished fighting, it's my turn. Wang Ting smiled faintly, stretched lazily, and was about to fly towards the sky. After watching for a long time, he was finally going to make a move. The fat sheep were all waiting for him to farm attributes. However, at this moment, a spacecraft suddenly appeared. It was a silver-white universe-level spaceship, dazzling and gorgeous. It appeared in the sky above the freshman leaderboard, attracting many gazes. That seems to be Yuan Mu's spaceship. I've seen it once before. Yuan Mu is here. Hez here. Yuan Mu, the current first on the freshman leaderboard. Now there's something exciting to watch. Yuan Mu is the current first, and Wang Teng was the first before. Who is stronger between the two? In the discussions of the crowd, the spacecraft's cabin door opened, and a figure walked out slowly, as if taking a stroll, unhurried. This figure had long silver-white hair and an extremely handsome appearance. His gaze was indifferent, and there was an indescribable arrogance in his expression, as if he didn't regard any of the geniuses present. This kind of disdainful attitude made many geniuses feel insulted. Especially Wu Yang, Lu Tian, and the others who were in the top 5. Although they were top talents, it seemed that the silver-haired figure didn't put them in his eyes. Who is Wang Ting? Yuan Mu scanned the crowd below, casually speaking. Chapter 2133, Moths to the Fire. 1. Who's Wang Ting? His calm voice spread out gradually, causing the surroundings to turn silent for a moment. The moment Yuan Mu appeared, he asked Wang Teng specifically. It was obvious what he wanted to do. There was an uproar. They were going to fight. The battle for the first place on the freshman leaderboard was about to begin. Wang Teng was stunned for a moment. Then, an interesting smile appeared at the edge of his lips. Yuan Mu seemed a little arrogant. He was just about to make a move, and here came Yuan Mu, directly calling him out. The way he did it seemed as if he casually pointed at someone to spar with him, with an air of condescension. Boss, this guy is too much. Wade couldn't help muttering. Yu Qiqiao and others also frowned. Yuan Mu's tone made them very uncomfortable. Wang Teng was the president of the Constellation Society and someone they supported. They wouldn't tolerate anyone disrespecting him. This guy is really strong. Yu Yunxian looked at Yuan Mu's figure, his eyes flickering slightly as he spoke. Indeed, very strong. Borit's expression also carried a hint of seriousness. The feeling this person gave him was even stronger than Baichuan Liu. I'll go meet him. Wang Teng's expression remained unchanged, and he smiled indifferently. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly flew out from the crowd, shouting, Wang Teng, face me in a battle first. This person was Zhulong Shan. He had originally planned to wait until the other members of the Constellation Society had finished their battles before challenging Wang Ting. Unexpectedly, Yuan Mu arrived suddenly and personally singled out Wang Teng. This undoubtedly disrupted his plans. At this moment, he could only step forward and take the initiative to challenge. Despite facing Yuan Mu, he didn't have much fear. He believed that with his current strength, he could pursue the top spot on the freshman leaderboard. The only person he was wary of was Wang Ting. Although his strength had increased after absorbing the solar dragon's blood, in his heart, Wang Ting still loomed like a demon. He had to defeat Wang Ting to break free from this demon and then pursue the coveted first place. The onlookers were slightly stunned. They hadn't expected a sudden challenge from Zhu Longshan. Didn't he lose to Wang Ting already? Did he now have the confidence to challenge him again? Curiosity filled many eyes, and their expressions carried a playful undertone. Zhu Longshan dared to step out after Yuan Mu opened his mouth. He seemed very confident. Even Wang Ting was taken aback for a moment as he looked at Zhu Longshan, exclaiming in surprise. Is he standing up again? Yu Chichiao, Wade, and others wore strange expressions. What did it mean to standing up again? It made it sound like he had gone limp or something. Yuan Mu turned to look at Zhu Longshan, his expression indifferent. Solar Dragon Race. Solar Dragon Race, Zhu Longshan. Zhu Longshan stared back at him without backing down. Are you trying to snatch my competitor? Yuan Mu asked calmly. I laid my eyes on Wang Ting first. He must fight with me first, Zhu Longshan said. I heard you were defeated by him once, Yuan Mu remarked. So what if I was? Zhu Longshan frowned. A defeated underling should not come out to embarrass himself, Yuan Mu said indifferently. Zhu Longshan's eyes narrowed, emanating a dangerous light, but he didn't lose his temper. He just looked calmly at Yuan Mu. It's getting lively here. How about adding me to the mix? One also want to fight Wang Ting. At this moment, Wu Yang walked out, smiling. This scene surprised the onlookers even more. It seemed like the situation was becoming more entertaining. One Zhu Longshan wasn't enough. Another Wu Yang came. Wu Yang was the second on the freshman leaderboard, making him the closest contender to Yuan Mu. Such a genius coming out to challenge Wang Ting undoubtedly emphasized Wang Ting's significance among the new students. Yuan Mu and Zhu Longshan looked at Wu Yang and frowned. I'm curious about Wang Ting's strength as well. Baichuan Liu walked out, stating calmly. At this moment, having defeated Borit, he naturally entered the 5th position. No one dared to underestimate his strength. So when he expressed his intention to challenge Wang Ting, no one thought he was overestimating himself. And me too. Lu Tian flew into the sky, saying indifferently, count me in. Reynolds saw the scene and knew he couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, he wouldn't even get a sip of the soup. He stomped his foot, transforming into a streak of lightning, appearing in the sky with a hearty laugh. Only Feng Mo remained still. Only he had a vague understanding of how strong Wang Ting really was. Even before absorbing the blood essence of the Naga race, Wang Ting could already single-handedly contend with several heaven-stage martial warriors from the stellar academies. What more now that he had absorbed the essence? Wn Dong and others were well aware of this, but the poison they carried from Wang Ting made them afraid of spreading the news. Otherwise, this information would have circulated widely. The talented warriors around were dumbfounded. Even some senior students were left in shock. Initially, they were prepared to enjoy the spectacle, but the current situation completely exceeded their expectations. This kind of scenario had never happened in previous batches of new students. One by one, all the top 10 talented warriors were challenging Wang Ting. Did Wang Ting have such charisma? Now, Wang Ting resembled that flame, attracting moths that flew straight toward him. These moths, however, were no ordinary ones. In the end, it remained unclear whether the moths would extinguish the flame or if the flame would devour the moths. Curiosity arose among the spectators, and all eyes focused on the various talented warriors. The interest in the other duels had long been lost. The upcoming battles promised to be the most thrilling matches of the day. Chapter 2134, Moths to the Fire. 2. Ji Feiyun and Wu Ming looked at each other, completely unprepared for this turn of events. So many people challenging Wang Ting, could he handle it? Wang Ting's radiance is too dazzling, to the extent that even so many geniuses can't tolerate it, Ji Feiyun sighed. Yeah, geniuses are always unwilling to submit to others. If it were us back then, encountering such a talent, I'm afraid we wouldn't easily admit defeat either unless he could truly dominate everyone, Wu Ming said. Don't you think he's a lot like those few? Ji Feiyun's eyes flickered with curiosity as he suddenly spoke. Do you think Wang Teng can be compared to them? Those few are people who truly dominated several generations of geniuses, Wu Ming asked curiously. Why not? Don't you think Wang Ting has shown enough potential to match and even surpass them? Ji Feiyun said. Wu Ming looked at him deeply without rebutting. Wang Ting had indeed demonstrated such potential. However, whether he could reach that level required the test of time. It couldn't be claimed with just words now. Who do you think he'll choose first? Ji Feiyun asked again. Probably Yuan Mu. After all, Yuan Mu is the strongest, and he is also that person's younger brother, Wu Ming said. Just as I guessed. The others, I feel, are a bit lacking, Ji Feiyun said. But your younger brother, Wu Yang, seems interesting. That kid's talent is not bad, but based on Wang Teng's strength that day, has not Wang Teng's match. Wu Ming shook his head regretfully. It seems you're quite optimistic about Wang Teng too. Ji Feiyun laughed. Wang Teng, so many people want to hit you. Yu Chichiao stared at the scene in astonishment, remained silent for a moment, and exclaimed in shock. Wang Ting, he was quite speechless. What did she mean by so many people wanting to hit him? They were here to challenge him. Did she know how to speak properly? Was he so easily defeated? Even if there were many of them, he could still handle it and crush them. Boss, shouldn't we avoid the limelight first? Wade looked at Wang Teng and whispered. No need. Wang Ting waved his hand indifferently. In the sky, Zhu Longshan watched as more and more geniuses appeared, feeling that things were getting out of control. He could only look towards the direction where Wang Teng was and shouted, Wang Ting, why don't you come out? Do you want to keep hiding? Hiding? Wang Ting chuckled, stepping into the void, walking towards the sky. Using the word hiding seems to be underestimating me. Last time's lesson hasn't taught you to behave. Stop the nonsense. Which challenge do you want to accept first? Zhu Longshan's face darkened, saying coldly. Wu Yang, Baichuan Liu, and the others looked over and waited for Wang Teng to make his decision. Yuan Mu frowned slightly, feeling a bit displeased. What qualifications did these people have to be on par with him? Did they think they could compare to him? He sneered and walked towards the spaceship in the sky, intending to wait for these people to finish their fights before taking action. These people weren't worth his time. His true target was his brother. As for that Wang Teng, if not for his considerable reputation, he wouldn't have bothered to come and take a look today. Moreover, there was another reason that made him have a very negative impression of Wang Teng. The Academy Arbitration Association. He entered the Stellar Academies to prepare to join the Academy's Arbitration Association. Then, he would use this as a stepping stone to enter the Stellar Arbitration Council. And with his qualifications, he temporarily didn't have that privilege. Yet, Wang Teng clearly had the opportunity to become an associate council member of the Academy's Arbitration Association but chose to ignore it. This was unacceptable. He didn't believe that Wang Ting deserved to be an associate council member. He was just a little lucky, so the higher authorities of the academy had no choice but to reward him. It's too troublesome to take you on one by one. How about all of you come at once? At this moment, a calm voice rang out. Yuan Mu's steps came to a sudden halt. He turned slowly, looking towards Wang Teng, and there seemed to be a trace of astonishment in his eyes. Zhu Longshan, Lu Tian, Baichuan Liu, Reynolds, and the others widened their eyes as if they heard something unbelievable. There was dead silence. Everyone looked at Wang Ting in disbelief. What did he just say? Let Yuan Mu and the others come at him together? People began to doubt if Wang Ting had gone mad. Didn't he know how strong these geniuses were? One-on-one might still have a chance of winning, but facing multiple opponents at once was simply asking for trouble. Ji Feiyun and Wu Ming were still guessing who Wang Teng would choose first when Wang Teng gave them a surprise. He didn't choose to challenge any single person but opted for all of them. What an irritating fellow. This guy was truly insane. Yu Chichiao and the others exchanged glances with one another, feeling a bit overwhelmed. This was bad. Their president was about to stir up trouble again. What did you just say? Yuan Mu's eyes turned extremely cold as he stared at Wang Teng, asking. I said, how about all of you come at once? Yes, including you. Wang Teng extended his hand, pointing at Yuan Mu with a playful smile. Arrogant. Yuan Mu felt insulted and spoke coldly. He had never regarded these people highly, but he never expected that someone wouldn't consider him important either. Wang Teng's words were a blatant contempt and insult to him. How he had once domineered over others, now he naturally found it difficult to accept the reverse. Wang Ting, you are too arrogant. Zhu Longshan also expressed his anger. Having absorbed the solar dragon blood, he considered himself capable of challenging Wang Ting. But unexpectedly, he faced such contempt. Chapter 2135, Moths to the Fire. 3. Lu Tian frowned, his gaze fixed on Wang Teng. Was this guy truly this confident? Baichuan Liu was also somewhat astonished. Had Wang Teng become overly self-assured? He shook his head, thinking of leaving. He couldn't allow himself to participate in a scenario where several people fought against one. His pride wouldn't permit such an act. Wang Teng, have you thought this through? In the past half year, we have made some progress. If you want to take on all of us, be careful not to end up crying at the end, Reynolds said. No problem. As long as you can make me cry, Wang Teng responded with a cheerful smile. Of course, if you guys are afraid, I won't force you. Alright, since you've made it clear, if one refuse, it's like looking down on you. One agree. Whether the others agree or not is none of my concern. 1. Reynolds, I'm not afraid of you, Reynolds declared. With that, he transformed into a streak of lightning and entered the freshman leaderboard. This idiot. Feng Mo couldn't help but roll his eyes, somewhat speechless. This guy had no idea how strong Wang Teng was. He would cry later. Yuan Mu and the others wrinkled their brows. Due to Reynolds' actions, if they refused, it might make people doubt their courage. Lu Tian snorted, said nothing, and charged toward the freshman leaderboard. Baichuan Liu hesitated for a moment, sighed, and ultimately turned around. Transforming into a blue light, he entered the freshman leaderboard. Zhu Longshan cast a deep glance at Wang Teng, sneering inwardly. In the end, he dashed toward the freshman leaderboard too. He couldn't let this opportunity slip by. Since Wang Ting had chosen to take on the challenge, Zhu Longshan didn't mind the opportunity to humiliate him in return for the previous defeat, even if it meant winning unfairly. Wu Yang squinted his eyes, glanced at Yuan Mu, then looked back at Wang Teng. He chuckled and, likewise, flew toward the new student ranking. Feng Mo, seeing this scene, felt a bit bewildered. All of these people had actually agreed. He was tempted and couldn't resist standing up. Mind if one join as well? With such an opportunity, it would be a pity to let it slip by. Wang Ting was a bit arrogant, and he had long wanted to take him down a peg. Of course not. Wang Ting was somewhat surprised but showed no signs of refusal. He grinned and replied. Feng Mo's eyes flashed, wondering whether Wang Ting was confident or just arrogant. Without hesitation, he headed towards the freshman leaderboard. Wang Ting looked at Yu Yunxian and suddenly said, Brother Yunxian, Borit, Tai Beisho, do you want to come together? Yu Yunxian, Borit, and Tai Beisho were stunned. Yu Chichiao and the others were stunned. Oh my god. When their boss got ruthless, he wouldn't even let go of his own people. Including Feng Mo, there were already 6 of the top 10 talents on the freshman leaderboard. Wasn't this enough? Adding the 3 from the Constellation Society, Wang Ting seemed determined to fill the ranks with the top 10. It's worth mentioning that Zhu Longshan was also among the top 10, but as he hadn't challenged the new student ranking for a long time, so he was only in 9th place, patiently waiting for the opportunity to fight Wang Teng. Are you sure about this? Yu Yunxian asked. Just a friendly exchange. Wang Teng replied nonchalantly. All right. Yu Yunxian nodded and flew toward the freshman leaderboard without saying much. Borit and Tai Beisho exchanged glances with each other and followed Yu Yunxian. They turned into streams of light and dashed into the freshman leaderboard. Yuan Mu's brows furrowed even deeper, and a hint of shock appeared deep in his eyes. This Wang Ting was simply crazy. He felt that their group wasn't enough, and now he added 3 more people. Didn't Wang Ting realize he was courting death? Admittedly, even he wouldn't be able to do something so reckless. He didn't have the confidence to defeat so many talents. He also didn't believe that Wang Ting had such strength. What kind of monster would one have to be to single-handedly take on the top 10 of the freshman leaderboard at the Stellar Academies? Such a person simply didn't exist in this world. Even his elder brother wouldn't be able to achieve such a feat, but now, only he remained. If he refused, how would others view him? Wang Ting didn't bother to look at him and directly flew towards the freshman leaderboard. Including Feng Mo, Yunxian, and others, there were already 9 talented martial warriors. It was enough for him to get some attributes. Whether Yuan Mu joined or not, it didn't matter. He could deal with him specifically after this battle. This Yuan Mu was quite arrogant. Wang Ting wanted to show him how ridiculous it was to think of challenging him single-handedly. Yuan Mu had no idea what Wang Ting was thinking, but this scene completely shifted the balance in Yuan Mu's heart. Wang Ting didn't even look at him. He was completely disregarding him. It was something someone of Yuan Mu's genius simply couldn't tolerate. Without saying a word, Yuan Mu sneered, transforming into a stream of light and rushing into the freshman leaderboard. If Wang Ting sought death, he would oblige. Gasp! Gasps filled the air as the top 10 talents entered the freshman leaderboard one by one. The spectators around suddenly reacted, and a buzz of excitement ensued. What the heck? This is insane. Completely crazy. The top 10 talents of the freshman leaderboard, all agreeing to Wang Ting's challenge. Am I seeing things? Sure, one can understand if it's people like Lu Tian and Baichuan Liu agreeing, but even Yuan Mu and Wu Yang chose to accept. This is simply too insane. People discussed in disbelief, unable to trust their eyes. What was initially a normal challenge turned into something beyond comprehension. This didn't make sense. This was totally abnormal. But at the same time, they knew that this was going to be a spectacular show. Wang Ting facing off against 10 talents from the freshman leaderboard. Was there anything more thrilling and exciting than this? The title of first place on the freshman leaderboard was becoming insignificant. What mattered was whether Wang Ting could defeat these 10 outstanding warriors. If he did, this battle would undoubtedly become the most noteworthy event in the history of the Stellar Academies. This battle was unprecedented and would go down as an unmatched spectacle in the Academy's records. Chapter 2136, Fighting the 10 Talent. Breaking all techniques with purely strength. 1. In an instant, everyone rushed towards the freshman leaderboard, afraid of missing this confrontation. Let's go. Yu Chiqiao and the others exchanged glances and immediately followed suit. Even the senior students who were present couldn't sit still. They couldn't afford to miss this battle. Figures like Ji Feiyun and Wu Ming all rushed out of their respective spacecraft, entering the freshman leaderboard. We should go and take a look too. Feng Qingyang couldn't sit still either, leading Wan Banlian and others as they flew out of their spacecraft and entered the freshman leaderboard. B0XO. Perhaps they were the least eager to see Wang Ting emerge victorious. If Wang Ting truly defeated those 10 prodigies, it would be too monstrous. They couldn't allow such a talent to continue growing. Hence, they needed to know the result as soon as possible, even understand Wang Ting's methods. In the battle space, Wang Ting and others emerged. Yuan Mu and the others stood in different directions, each acting independently, showing no intention of cooperating whatsoever. As geniuses, they naturally carried the pride of geniuses. The fact that they were willing to engage in a battle with Wang Ting at the same time was already the greatest compromise they could make. Cooperation was out of the question. Wang Ting glanced at Yuan Mu, somewhat surprised that he had eventually joined the confrontation. Wang Ting, you're too arrogant. Challenging the 10 of us alone, you will be the one defeated in the end, Yuan Mu said calmly. I only seek one defeat, Wang Ting replied with a calm smile. Quite audacious. Wu Yang commented. Enough with the chatter. Let's get started, Zhu Longshan said coldly, his impatience evident. "Come on, let me see what abilities you all possess," Wang Ting said. In an instant, no one spoke further, and the atmosphere became tense. Yuan Mu and the others focused their gazes on Wang Ting, a collective look of hostility in their eyes, ready to pummel him. This guy was too arrogant. Challenging the 10 of them alone was unprecedented arrogance. Boom, 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 boom. 10 auras erupted simultaneously, rising from their bodies like tangible forces and crashing toward Wang Ting. Lu Tian's aura was filled with murderous intent, as if a sword of slaughter hovered above Wang Ting's head. Baichuan Liu's aura resembled the profoundness of the deep sea, vast and majestic, making anyone before it seem extremely insignificant. Reynolds' aura was thunderous, domineering, and majestic. Wu Yang's aura seemed somewhat eerie, cold, and bone-chilling, exuding a disturbing feeling as if one were being targeted by a venomous python. Zhu Longshan's aura appeared as if it had condensed into a terrifying solar dragon, circling above his head and emitting roars. Feng Mo's aura, with a sense of icy coldness, somewhat resembled Wu Yang's, as if one were being stalked by a poisonous creature. Yu Yunxian unsheathed his sword, and his imposing aura, dignified and overbearing, hung over Wang Ting's head. Borit's aura was the most peaceful, but it was not to be underestimated, constantly surging and never-ending. Tai Beishou's aura was bright and grand, like a constant star illuminating the surroundings, yet it also emitted a terrifying presence. The auras of these 9 people made Wang Ting feel somewhat surprised. Even though he had experienced Lu Tian's aura before, he was still amazed by the increased strength evident in it. His progress over the past 6 months had indeed been significant. However, what truly astonished Wang Ting was Yuan Mu's aura. It was unique, resembling a starry sky shining in the void, descending upon Wang Ting's head. Under the auras of these 10 individuals, the surrounding void seemed to freeze, countless specks of dust floating in the air. It seems like they are competing with their auras. The auras of these 10 people are too terrifying. If Wang Ting can't even withstand their auras, this competition will turn into a joke. Yes, the auras of these 10 geniuses would be difficult for any of us to resist individually, let alone when all 10 erupt simultaneously. In the space where the spectators observed the battle, discussions were in full swing. Everyone was eagerly watching the unfolding situation in the combat space, unwilling to divert their gaze for even a moment. They were eager to know if Wang Ting could withstand the overwhelming auras of the 10 prodigies. If it were me before one went to the Scorpion Kingstar, maybe I really wouldn't be able to resist your auras, Wang Ting said with a slight smile, speaking casually. Yuan Mu and the others did not immediately make a move. They all looked at Wang Ting, gradually furrowing their brows. Wang Teng's expression seemed too calm, as if he was unaffected by their auras. But now, in my eyes, your auras, Wang Ting paused for a moment, grinned, and continued, are too weak. Boom. As his words fell, an indescribable powerful aura erupted from him. Wang Teng's eyes glowed with a purple light as if lightning was converging, flickering incessantly. Within that lightning aura, there was an indomitable will extending outwards. Unyielding lightning. In an instant, the void was filled with lightning, and the battle intent surged to the sky. Even within this unyielding lightning aura, there was a sense of ancient vastness and profundity, as if it originated from the distant past, traversing countless time and space to arrive here. Astonishment finally appeared in the eyes of Yuan Mu and the other martial warriors. Their auras collapsed instantly, causing them to retreat in disarray, their gazes filled with extreme shock. What kind of aura is this? The 10 individuals were shaken to their cores, unable to believe the experience they had just undergone. That was such a formidable aura, carrying the majesty of lightning and an indomitable spirit, not to mention the addition of the vast and ancient atmosphere. Chapter 2137, Fighting the 10 Talent. Breaking all techniques with purely strength. 2. How could someone's aura be so powerful and complex? Moreover, that aura involved the concept of time, and it couldn't be understood with conventional perspectives on aura. The geniuses present were not ignorant. From Wang Ting's aura, they could perceive that it carried an ancient meaning, a time-based aura that ordinary people couldn't comprehend. Whatever it was, once it touched the realm of time, it wasn't something ordinary martial warriors could grasp. Its difficulty was several times, even hundreds of times, higher than ordinary auras. What's happening? B0XO. Am I seeing things? It seems like Wang Ting's aura is overwhelming all 10 of them. What the heck? Is it real? 1 against 10, it seems possible for Wang Ting. I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited too. He's so strong. At this moment, the audience had no idea what was happening. They only saw Wang Ting's aura erupting as if lightning was flashing in the void, and then all 10 of the other martial warriors retreated. But anyone with eyes could see that Wang Ting had the upper hand in this clash of auras. Many people were completely exhilarated. Even though Wang Ting had not defeated the 10 geniuses yet, at this moment, he had the upper hand in the clash of auras, giving many people a glimmer of hope. A glimmer of hope to create a miracle. Aura is too abstract. You might as well just fight directly. Wang Ting beckoned at Yuan Mu and the others and said with a faint smile. Boom. Lu Tian, Zhu Longshan, and the others' expressions were not good. Without further ado, they charged out, turning into streaks of flowing light, charging towards Wang Ting. Wang Ting, take my punch. Solar Dragon Fist. With a roar, Zhu Longshan's body suddenly surged with the fiery dragon flames, gathering at his fist, forming a terrifying burning fist imprint that slammed out. Oh! It seems like the solar dragon flame has become much stronger. Wang Ting sensed something and showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. Since you want to play, I'll play with you. Instantly, green flames erupted from his body, also condensing on his fist, and he threw a punch. 5-element fist. The fist imprint burst forth, a terrifying force surging from his body. The fist imprint violently collided with Zhu Longshan's attack. Boom. The clash of their attacks reverberated in the air. Crack. Suddenly, a crisp sound of shattering echoed, and Zhu Longshan let out a miserable scream. His fist imprint disintegrated, the solar dragon flame scattered, and his arm twisted grotesquely. His body was forcefully sent flying under the impact of a formidable force. How is this possible? Zhu Longshan's face showed an expression of disbelief, struggling to accept this harsh reality. With the singular intention of challenging Wang Ting, he found himself utterly defeated in the first round of their confrontation. It was a slap in the face. Lu Tian and the others were shaken, but before they could contemplate further, they were already closing in on Wang Ting. Wang Ting! Lu Tian roared, wielding his battle sword and slashing it towards Wang Ting. A black sword light swept across the void. Godslayer first stance. He didn't hold back, directly employing this divine-level battle technique, incorporating the bloodlust domain, unmatched in its power. On the other side, Reynolds also charged forward, wielding a war blade. He swung it with a resounding force, lightning flickering around the blade, transforming it into a lightning weapon. Tai Beishou's sword traversed the air, radiating an overwhelmingly brilliant light. Fierce sword energy surged from all directions. The 3 attacks arrived almost simultaneously. Wang Ting's gaze remained tranquil to the extreme, his expression indifferent. He formed fists with both hands. Boom! Boom! The onslaught of Lu Tian's slaughter sword light and Reynolds' lightning blade crumbled simultaneously. Both of them were sent flying by Wang Ting's mighty punch. Then, Wang Ting stamped his foot, transforming into a radiant figure. His body gracefully danced within the onslaught of sword light surging from all directions, deftly evading each luminous strike. Light element footwork. Tai Beishou's eyes widened in astonishment. She hadn't expected Wang Ting to wield such a sophisticated light element footwork. The speed was beyond the comprehension of even her, a light element martial warrior. You've let your guard down. Wang Ting's voice suddenly echoed behind Tai Beishou. Her expression changed abruptly, sensing the ferocious force rushing from behind. She attempted to dodge, but it was too late. Boom! Wang Ting's fist landed squarely on her. However, he furrowed his brow unexpectedly, feeling that something was off. It seemed like his power had been disarmed. Tai Beishou's body surged forward. The pristine white wings on her back were now spread open. In the pure radiance, those snowy wings appeared exceptionally divine. "Are you using your wings now?" Wang Teng expressed a hint of surprise. Indeed, the speed is remarkable. With the beating of her wings, Tai Beisha left behind a residual image in the air. Surprisingly, she managed to evade most of Wang Ting's punch force, reappearing in the distance. Yet, a trace of blood escaped her lips, and her gaze held a wary look as she stared at Wang Ting. Had she not utilized these innate wings, she wouldn't have stood a chance against that particular attack. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, faint yet distinct breaking sounds echoed from behind Wang Ting. He might not have noticed it if it weren't for his formidable spiritual power and acute hearing. A sly smile curled at the corner of his mouth. In an instant, a green flame erupted from within him, forming a defensive dragon made of fire behind him. Boom! Jet-black arrowheads shot out from the void, but they were instantly engulfed by the fire dragon, emitting a hissing sound. Wang Ting turned around to find Wu Yang standing in the distance, wielding a colossal jet-black longbow. It became apparent that the previous onslaught had originated from him. Chapter 2138, Fighting the 10 Talent. Breaking all techniques with purely strength. 3. Wu Yang was a formidable archer. "It's been a long time since I've seen such a powerful archer," Wang Teng remarked. "Then today, I'll let you witness it firsthand," Wu Yang replied with a smile. "Come on, I hope you don't disappoint me," Wang Teng challenged. B0XO. At this moment, Yuan Mu stood in the distance, his gaze gloomy as he watched Wang Teng. This person was indeed formidable. After a round of exchanges, not only were several talented martial warriors unable to make a dent in him, but they were also pushed back, finding themselves at a disadvantage. It was truly unbelievable. Zhu Longshan halted in midair, his eyes locked onto Wang Teng. The solar dragon flame enveloped him, aiding the swift recovery of his arm. Soon, it was restored to its original state as if he had never been injured. He, too, gazed with an intense focus. A surge of battle intent rose within him. Wang Teng was truly his lifelong adversary. Only by defeating him could Zhu Longshan tread further on his path. Reynolds and Lu Tian flew back, their hearts filled with profound shock. They couldn't believe they had been sent flying by a single punch from Wang Teng. At this moment, the 10 exceptional talents no longer harbored any illusions or feelings of disdain. They all regarded Wang Teng with the utmost seriousness. This guy was simply a monster. Boom. Words were unnecessary. Everyone surged forward once again, erupting into a fierce battle with Wang Teng. This time, Feng Mo, Yu Yunxian, Borit, and the others acted too. Feng Mo wielded his war sword, utilizing the powers of ice, water, and poison simultaneously. The force of his domain erupted, transforming into sweeping sword lights. Yu Yunxian executed the 12 swords of Tyrant. Majestic and overbearing sword lights crisscross in an unparalleled display, completely blocking all of Wang Teng's possible paths. Since they had already engaged, he didn't show any mercy just because Wang Teng was the president of the Constellation Society. Giving his all was the greatest respect for an opponent like Wang Teng. Borit harbored the same mindset. He unleashed his 3 forces, employing both the wood flame spear and the lightning wood spear simultaneously, displaying unparalleled might. Zhu Longshan roared, his body expanding, directly transforming into a colossal solar dragon physique. Knowing that even with the absorption of solar dragon blood, there was still a considerable gap between him and Wang Teng, he wasted no time and revealed his solar dragon physique. Reynolds swung his blade once again, gathering the power of lightning. The force of the 5th rank lightning domain surged out, slashing towards Wang Teng. Tai Beisha flapped her wings, swiftly maneuvering around Wang Teng, continuously emitting white sword lights at a rapid pace. Baichuan Liu wasn't idle either. He directly utilized his Baichuan divine physique, creating 3 clones, each wielding a sword and displaying the 9 essence Baichuan blade skill. Wu Yang strung his bow and shot arrows, poisonous lights emanating from the arrows as they shot toward Wang Teng from cunning angles, making them nearly impossible to defend against. God Slayer second stance. Killing intent erupted from Lu Tian's eyes. He slashed his battle sword out, and an even more terrifying black sword glow slashed towards Wang Teng. Good move. A hearty laughter erupted from Wang Teng's lips, and he threw his head back in a triumphant manner. His jet-black long hair danced freely in mid-air, unaffected by any wind, moving to an unseen rhythm. True Dragon Battle Physique, activate. Boom. The next moment, an endless sea of green flames surrounded him, forming a protective barrier at the center. He looked like the King of Fire. Dragon-like scales of green flames appeared on the surface of his body, creating an otherworldly and mysterious aura. Ancient God's Body, activated. Simultaneously, within his body, a torrent of golden light emanated from his circulating blood, flowing from his heart and sweeping through his limbs like a mighty river. Every muscle, bone, and even the connective tissues underwent a transformation, possessing an unfathomable strength. A potent and terrifying force gestated and emerged. In the middle of his forehead, intricate golden runes manifested, exuding an aura of solemnity and ancient power. All of this, though it might sound lengthy, occurred within the span of a mere breath. There was no conflict between the activation of the true dragon battle physique and the ancient god's body. Hence, they were executed almost simultaneously. Bang! In an instant, the transformed Wang Ting slammed his foot onto the ground. His figure turned into a fleeting afterimage, nearly impossible to perceive. At this very moment, relying solely on his physical strength, he showcased such a terrifying speed. So fast. Lu Tian and the others exclaimed, their pupils contracting dramatically. Boom. 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 Wang Teng didn't employ any other means. It was a complete eruption of his physical prowess, transforming it into a fist imprint that surged toward the attacks of the group. The 10th level strength of Ultima was added. Wang Teng glanced at the attributes board. He added some blank attributes to his blank attribute and raised his strength of Ultima to the perfected stage. Countless insights emerged, and the perfected stage strength of Ultima unleashed a terrifying might. The strength of Ultima couldn't be compared to a normal Ultima. After reaching the perfected 10th level, it was almost as strong as the power of Domain. Attack after attack crumbled, shattered by Wang Teng's immense strength. However, the assaults from the 9 genius martial warriors were still too formidable, and Wang Teng couldn't simultaneously crush all of them. Several attacks continued to bear down on Wang Teng. Among them were Wu Yang's venomous arrowheads and Tai Beishou's swift white sword lights. One attack came from a cunning angle, and the other was incredibly fast, 2 of the most unpredictable strikes. Okay. Wu Yang and the others witnessed this scene, a trace of delight appearing on their faces. Wang Teng was too arrogant, daring to face all of them at once. Now, he would inevitably face the consequences of his recklessness. However, at this moment, a strange event unfolded. Congregate. An extremely peculiar and subtle force radiated from within Wang Teng, forming a unique and intricate field that momentarily froze the surrounding space. At this moment, Wang Teng had activated the space domain. Even though it was only a first-rank domain, it was sufficient to momentarily stifle the attacks of several geniuses. Boom. 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 Seizing the opportunity in an instant, Wang Ting fiercely threw a punch, shattering the remaining attacks without mercy. What's going on? Wu Yang and the others' expressions changed drastically, completely unaware of what had happened. Wang Ting didn't give them a chance to react. Taking advantage of the situation, he pursued them aggressively, his figure bursting forward, and his fist imprint mercilessly hammering towards them. Splat! Lu Tian, Reynolds, Baichuan Liu, and the others were completely unable to dodge, directly sent plummeting toward the ground by Wang Ting's punch, blood continuously spewing from their mouths. Wang Ting then pursued Zhu Longshan, once again unleashing a fist imprint, releasing terrifying power onto his colossal solar dragon physique. Roar! Zhu Longshan roared in agony, his entire body pulsating with pain. Blood sprayed continuously, and the scorching solar dragon flame emerged from his body, attempting to shake off Wang Teng. However, as an expert in manipulating flames, Zhu Longshan's solar dragon flame was child's play under his divine flame. It couldn't harm him in the slightest. Go down, Wang Ting coldly shouted, smashing his fist hard onto Zhu Longshan's head, forcibly slamming him into the ground. Then, with a stomp, another burst of terrifying power erupted. The ground exploded into countless dust particles, shrouding the surroundings completely. Following the recoil, Wang Ting charged towards Tai Beisho. His figure turned into a streak of white light. The explosiveness of his physical strength coupled with the speed of light bolt instantly surpassed the pristine white wings behind Tai Beisho. Oh no! Her expression changed drastically. She tried to pull away and retreat but was still caught up by the pursuing Wang Ting. Boom! Wang Ting struck directly, showing no shred of mercy. His fist imprint ruthlessly slammed into the abdomen of the feathered beauty, contorting her delicate frame into an arch, reminiscent of a shrimp. She coughed up blood. The onslaught, like a spark igniting dry tinder, had left 5 of the prodigies completely helpless against Wang Ting's overpowering assault. Brutal. Direct. Powerful. At this moment, Wang Ting emanated an aura of sheer force. In the observing space, countless spectators, whether they were new students or old, fell silent. Only one thought echoed in their minds. Pure strength shattering myriad techniques. Chapter 2139, Defeating All Talent. The Last Person. 1. Pure strength shattering myriad techniques. Speaking of it may sound simple, but it is an extremely difficult task. To achieve the feat of breaking through everything with sheer power, one must possess an unparalleled and formidable strength. Without such power, it is impossible to achieve. Yet, the impression Wang Ting gave them a glimpse of such a capability. He did not employ any other means, relying solely on pure power to completely suppress several prodigies. If this wasn't a manifestation of pure strength shattering myriad techniques, what could it be? B0XO. Com Ji Feiyun and Wu Ming exchanged glances with each other. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. This guy is indeed monstrous. Ji Feiyun sighed. His physical strength is formidable. I sensed a bit of it when he dealt with Ruan Banlian last time, but I never expected it to be this strong, Wu Ming said. I wonder how he cultivated it. Ji Feiyun's eyes flickered with curiosity. This kind of powerful physical strength was truly enviable. Many martial warriors strived for it but could not reach such heights. The cultivation of the physical body was arguably the most painful process. Without experiencing tribulations, one would achieve nothing. Probably some kind of fortunate encounter, and I suspect he possesses some innate physical talent, Wu Ming pondered. Yes. Ji Feiyun nodded and said, even if it's due to talent, his physical strength definitely surpasses most prodigies. This isn't something that can be achieved solely through talent. It surely requires a considerable price. He spoke with conviction, not knowing that Wang Ting had indeed paid a significant price. After all, diligently picking attributes every day was not an easy task. Do you think he can reach the Cosmos stage pinnacle of strength? Wu Ming half-jokingly asked. Cosmos stage pinnacle of strength. Ji Feiyun was suddenly startled. He at Wu Ming in astonishment. That was the legendary realm, a level that only a few have reached throughout history. Those who could attain the Cosmos stage pinnacle of power were unparalleled prodigies, possessing astonishing innate physical talents that captivate the world. Could Wang Ting achieve this? I was just making a casual remark, Wu Ming chuckled. If he truly reaches that realm, he would be a genuine invincible figure at the Cosmos stage. Don't joke about that kind of thing. Although I also think this guy is strong, I never thought he could reach the Cosmos stage pinnacle of power. Ji Feiyun shook his head. On the other side, Feng Qingyang was also deeply shaken by Wang Ting's battle, his expression becoming extremely unsightly. That kid had grown to such an extent. Ruan Banlian's expression kept changing, even turning slightly pale. She couldn't fully accept that Wang Ting had become so powerful. She had always thought that last time was due to her underestimating him, allowing him to exploit a loophole and rendering her powerless. But today, it seemed that his strength had indeed grown to a level capable of threatening heaven stage martial warriors. Otherwise, He wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of so many top 10 prodigies on the freshman leaderboard single-handedly. The strength of the top 10 prodigies on the freshman leaderboard was something that no one understood better than the students of the stellar academies. Each one of them was undoubtedly capable of contending with talented heaven-stage martial warriors. All the members of the Constellation Society were astounded when they saw this scene. At the same time, they cheered. "President is awesome. Long live the president." The echoing sound brought everyone back to their senses, breaking the trance that had fallen over them. As they observed the members of the Constellation Society, there was no mockery in their expressions. Instead, a hint of complexity lingered. If it were them, they probably would be just as excited as the members of the Constellation Society. Yu Chiqiao couldn't help but shake her head. Looking at Wang Ting in the battle space, her eyes revealed a sense of astonishment that lingered for a long time. In just half a year, this guy had managed to surpass them by such a wide margin. It was truly unbelievable. However, he was quite ruthless. He had beaten Tai Beishaw to such a state. Couldn't he show a little mercy? After all, she had just joined the Constellation Society. Couldn't he give her some face? After the competition ended, Yu Chiqiao felt that she would have to comfort Tai Beishaw properly. Otherwise, she might just run away. It was hard being the vice president. Boss is so powerful. Wade swallowed his saliva and said in a hoarse voice. "What's wrong, scared?" Yu Chiqiao looked at him with an ambiguous expression. "Ha ha," Wade scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. "Yu Chiqiao and the others are probably in for a tough time." Yu Chiqiao shook her head, sympathetically saying, "I know they wanted to see the gap between themselves and Wang Ting, but the result seems a bit demoralizing." "It's not their fault. Boss is too scary," Wade said. In the battle space, only Yuan Mu, Wu Yang, Yu Yunxian, Borit, and Feng Mo were left standing. They gazed solemnly at the rising dust in the distance, where a figure slowly emerged, none other than Wang Ting. Below, the massive body of Zhulong Shan struggled out from the earth, causing the ground to tremble, and cracks to spread in all directions. The movements were so terrifying that, in a real environment, it could cause earthquakes and landslides. Tai Beishaw, once again in flight, held her stomach, blood oozing from the corner of her mouth, looking somewhat pitiful. Many people, witnessing her appearance, secretly cursed Wang Ting for his ruthless actions against a beautiful woman. Tai Beishaw looked at Wang Ting, biting her silver teeth, inwardly questioning if this guy was even a man. Lu Tian, Reynolds, and Baichuan Liu also took to the air. They had already suffered considerable injuries. Their gazes were filled with shock as they looked at Wang Ting, finding the situation incredibly unbelievable. Chapter 2140, Defeating All Talent. The last person. 2. At this moment, the dust finally dissipated, and Wang Ting slowly emerged. As expected of a top 10 talent. "You're so tough." Wang Ting twisted his fist and exclaimed in surprise. "Everyone, what do you mean by we're tough?" For those whom Wang Ting had hit, hearing this statement made their facial muscles twitch. B0XO. Unfortunately, they couldn't refute it. This guy was too terrifying. His powerful force had shaken their internal organs, and at this moment, they were only gritting their teeth, unwilling to admit defeat. If it were ordinary warriors, the previous attacks would have rendered them completely powerless to resist. "Do you want to continue?" Wang Ting asked. "Yes." Lu Tian gritted his teeth and said, "One won't easily admit defeat until the end." "Wang Ting." Zhulong Shan roared. "One will crush you." His head had once again been stepped on by Wang Ting, and he felt an unbearable humiliation. This jerk seemed to enjoy stepping on people's heads. "Don't be so fierce." Wang Ting scratched his ear, glanced sideways at Zhulong Shan, and said, "Otherwise, I'll step on you again later." Roar. Zhulong Shan roared and charged at Wang Ting once again. The solar dragon flame enveloped his body, restoring his injuries while fully unleashing its power. His domain power unfolded, turning into a dark red magma domain. This was the solar dragon flame domain of the solar dragon race. Endless flames and magma filled the surroundings, and Zhulong Shan's figure disappeared, concealed within this magma world. Your domain has gotten stronger, but the same domain is useless against me. Wang Ting shook his head, his expression extremely calm. The real eye opened, almost instantly finding Zhu Longshan's hidden location. Then, his figure disappeared from the original spot. Boom! Zhu Longshan's pupils contracted. Naturally, he wouldn't allow Wang Ting to get close. The power of the domain erupted, and magma columns surged into the sky around him. Wang Ting activated the light bolt skill, turning into a stream of light that flickered within it, then instantly appeared in front of a pool of magma. At this moment, a magma column erupted, smashing towards Wang Teng's face, as if it had been waiting for him to approach. Wang Teng remained calm, a hint of mockery flashing in his eyes. He unleashed a punch, and a terrifying force erupted. Boom! The magma column, fused with the power of the domain, unexpectedly burst open instantly, turning into countless streams of molten rock splashing in all directions. Wang Teng, his body burning with green flames, rapidly moved through the magma, delivering another punch. Come out! With a light shout, the fist imprint slammed into the nearby magma, forcefully blasting it open to reveal the colossal and winding figure of Zhu Longshan. Zhu Longshan's enormous eyes couldn't help but tremble. He looked at Wang Teng as if he had seen a ghost. His domain had finally advanced to the 5th rank, thinking he could contend with Wang Teng. However, unexpectedly, Wang Teng had shattered it with a single punch. Last time, Wang Teng still needed to use the power of his domain to counteract his domain. But now, he had broken through his domain with sheer strength alone. Just how powerful had Wang Teng's strength become? Roar! Zhu Longshan was filled with unwillingness. He opened his large mouth, radiance condensed, and a dark red beam of light surged violently toward Wang Teng. A trace of the power of the origin was infused within it. Terrifying ripples spread with scorching intensity. After absorbing the solar dragon blood, his greatest gain wasn't the domain but the insights into the origin. He refused to believe that, with his current understanding of the laws of origin, he couldn't defeat Wang Teng. This origin has become stronger, huh? It seems like you've been practicing diligently lately. Wang Teng's eyes showed a hint of surprise, then nodded approvingly. Zhu Longshan was stunned. He almost vomited blood. Why was this bastard looking so pleased? Before he could think too much, he saw Wang Teng once again throwing a punch, seemingly simple but exuding an incredibly formidable force. Origin. That was the power of origin too. Wang Teng had integrated the power of the Earth's origin into his fist imprint. If he wanted to resist the power of the origin, relying solely on strength wouldn't be enough. Eventually, he could only use the power of the origin. Unfortunately, he hadn't mastered the origin of strength yet. Otherwise, directly using the power of the strength origin would be even better. Actually, he just needed the strength domain. With his current physical strength, it was enough to destroy Zhu Longshan's laws of origin. Zhu Longshan knew that Wang Teng possessed the power of the origin because, in their previous battle, Wang Teng had already used it. However, what he didn't know was that Wang Teng's Earth origin had already reached the 2nd rank. Boom! Under a single punch, the column of light unleashed by the eruption of Zhu Longshan's power of the origin ultimately burst apart before his incredible gaze. It's over. Wang Teng traversed the remnants of that light column and appeared above Zhu Longshan's head, delivering a barrage of punches. Boom! 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 In a frenzy of strikes, in just a few breaths, Wang Teng had already thrown dozens of punches. Zhu Longshan struggled frantically, but it was in vain. He was pounded by Wang Teng's terrifying strength, leaving him dizzy, his vision darkening, completely unable to resist. Boom! His massive body was finally pressed to the ground by Wang Teng and gradually disappeared. Zhu Longshan, eliminated. At this moment, Lu Tian, Reynolds, Baichuan Liu, and the others finally regained their senses. Chapter 2141, Defeating All Talent. The Last Person. 3. That's the power of origin. Yuan Mu's eyes flickered with surprise. Wang Teng seemed to wield an exceptionally powerful power of origin. Zhu Longshan also possessed the power of the origin, but judging by appearances, he was only at the mid-phase of the first rank. Wang Ting's origin seemed stronger. Was it at the late phase of the first rank, or perhaps at its peak? Kill. Lu Tian and the others exchanged glances, erupting with their most powerful techniques, leaving nothing in reserve. The power of their domains was unleashed in its entirety. B0XO. Com Wu Yang, Yu Yunxian, Borit, and the others acted too. They released their most powerful domains. Having witnessed Zhu Longshan's brutal defeat, they now understood that an individual wouldn't stand a chance against Wang Teng. They had no choice but to unite. Though no one explicitly mentioned allying, they instinctively chose to collaborate. Forced by circumstances, they had no choice. In the blink of an eye, the entire sky of the battle space was filled with domains. Each martial warrior of the fighter martial warriors represented a colossal sphere of light. To onlookers from the outside, Wang Teng appeared surrounded by these luminous spheres, seemingly helpless and pitiable. But a shocking scene unfolded. Wang Teng, with each punch, shattered these luminous spheres with sheer force. Boom! Within a pitch-black domain, Lu Tian raised his sword, unleashing countless dark sword lights. The God Slayer third stance. Unity of man and sword. At this moment, he executed the God Slayer third stance with the unity of man and sword form, and within the sword lights, there was a terrifying infusion of the origin of slaughter. In their previous confrontation, facing Lu Tian's unity of man and sword and origin of slaughter, Wang Teng had the feeling of being on the brink of death. However, this time, that sensation did not resurface. Even though Lu Tian displayed the God Slayer third stance and his unity of man and sword realm and the origin of slaughter became more powerful, it still couldn't pose a threat to him. Boom! Wang Teng's fist prints relentlessly pounded, shattering the black sword lights. Subsequently, he appeared behind Lu Tian, and the lightning slap materialized, smashing down fiercely. Bang, bang, bang. Swoop. Boom. F***K. Lu Tian cursed uncontrollably. Then, his vision turned black and he disappeared from the battle space. At this moment, Baichuan Liu and Reynolds' attacks arrived. Both of their domains had reached the 5th rank, and they even comprehended a trace of the power of origin. However, if even Lu Tian couldn't match up to Wang Teng, how could they, who were ranked lower? Wang Teng shattered their attacks with absolute strength, eliminating both of them from the competition. Of course, in the end, they received the same treatment as Lu Tian. Wang Teng gave them a huge slap with the brick. They had never tasted the lightning slap before, so they finally understood how painful it was. As they left the stage, both of them had faces blackened with resentment, cursing Wang Teng in their hearts. This guy was too ruthless. After dealing with these two, Wang Teng glanced around and continued to charge towards the remaining talented warriors. Feng Mo was on his left, only a few hundred meters away. Wang Teng flickered and appeared within his domain. Feng Mo's pupils contracted. Wang Teng had taken the initiative to enter his domain. How confident must he be? Feng Mo's domain was a fusion of water, ice, and poison elements, reaching the 4th rank but matching the power of ordinary 5th rank domains. Wang Teng entered the domain and scanned his surroundings. He was surprised. This domain was filled with a mysterious green-hued frost. Upon closer inspection, it became apparent that it wasn't the frost itself that exhibited the green color. Rather, beneath the frost, there was a greenish liquid flowing, giving the illusion of an eerie green hue. You've combined the domains of poison, water, and ice. Wang Teng's mind stirred slightly. He then looked at Feng Mo and said with a smile, "Brother Feng Mo, I've been wanting to spar with you for a long time. Today, we finally have the opportunity." He was speaking the truth. Feng Mo was a triple-element martial warrior. He wanted to gain attribute bubbles from him for a long time. Feng Mo's mouth twitched. If it weren't for seeing other top talents making a move, he would never have engaged with Wang Teng. Nobody understood his terror better than him, not to mention the shamelessness. Even Wn Dong, Cobb, and the other Heaven Stage martial warriors were speechless in front of Wang Teng. He felt that he should stay away from him. But seeing all 9 other top talents on the freshman leaderboard agreeing to Wang Ting's challenge, he thought he had a chance. Now it seemed he might have fallen into a trap. Now, all he could do was give his all, or his fate would be the same as those preceding top talents. Feng Mo's thoughts raced, and without wasting any words, he acted. In an instant, within his domain, countless ice spikes emerged from all directions, swiftly advancing toward Wang Teng. The green-hued frosty spikes, resembling icy spears, glittered with a cold light. A complex blend of combined domain forces seemed to be lurking within. Wang Teng's expression remained unchanged. Within the domain, he transformed into a beam of light, directly meeting the onslaught of ice spikes. Then, with a swing of his fist, he unleashed a powerful attack. Boom! The fist imprint crushed the icy onslaught as if it were withering away. How is that possible? Feng Mo's expression changed subtly. Wang Teng was able to shatter such a sharp ice attack with a single blow and remain unscathed. Mind you, the ice carried a potent poisonous force, and once contaminated, it would undoubtedly invade the body with lethal toxicity. Your poison isn't strong enough. Wang Teng's voice echoed abruptly, resonating right beside Feng Mo's ears. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.